परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Nithyanandam. It's my pleasure and honor to welcome all the YouTube viewers, Facebook Live, Nithyananda TV viewers, and all the Sadashivoham 2016 participants for this very special interview. I should rather say a discussion between our beloved Swamiji and Rajiv Malhotra ji. Rajiv Malhotra ji has been here with us for the past 19 days as he is also participating in the Sadashivoham 2016 program conducted here in Bengaluru Adinam. It's been an immense pleasure for all of us to ask Nithyananda Sangha to have Rajiv with us, join us for all the processes, the initiations that Swamiji has been blessing all the participants with. And today we are going to hear from Rajiv ji what he wants to share about his experience over the past 19 days as a participant of the 2016 program. And today, Rajiv ji is here to conduct a very special interview with Swamiji on Hinduism, on the science of Hinduism and its future. I am sure all of you are as excited as I am. And for those of you who are wondering, who is Rajiv Malhotra? I'm sure most of the members of the Nithyananda Sangha and the participants here already know him. For those of you who are new, a little bit of an introduction about Rajiv ji. Rajiv Malhotra is an internationally known researcher, writer, speaker, and public intellectual on current affairs as they relate to civilizations, cross-cultural encounters, religion, and science. He studied physics and computer science and served in multiple careers, including software development executive, Fortune 100 senior corporate executive, strategic consultant, and successful entrepreneur in IT and media industries. At the peak of his career, he owned 20 companies in several countries. He took an early retirement at the age of 44 to pursue philanthropy, research, and public service. He established Infinity Foundation for this purpose in 1994. Rajiv ji has conducted original research in a variety of fields and has influenced many other thinkers in India and the West. He has disrupted the mainstream thought process among academic and non-academic intellectuals alike by providing fresh, provocative positions on Dharma and on India. One of Rajiv ji's most famous book, Invading the Sacred. His work became the center discussion in this book. His latest activities and talks are being actively featured on his Facebook site. Rajiv Malhotra is now a full-time founder director of Infinity Foundation in Princeton, New Jersey. He also serves as a board of governors of Center for Indic Studies at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, and is an advisor to various organizations. And as far as Nithyananda Sangha is concerned, Rajiv ji is actually training all the members of the Nithyananda Sangha in the intellectual war field for protecting the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, for protecting all the gurus who are undergoing religious persecution. Rajiv ji and his works have been key for all the members of the Nithyananda Sangha, where we actively participate in the intellectual kshatriyata that goes online, that goes all over the world. Whenever and wherever Hinduism or any religious guru is targeted, we actively participate in the war and fight for Hinduism, fight for defending Hinduism, and all of us have been trained by Rajiv ji. So now it's my pleasure and honor to hand over the stage to Rajiv ji, and we really want to thank him for being here and for taking time to educate all of us. Thank you, Rajiv ji.
Thank you, Swamiji, for this opportunity to discuss with you and for the 19 days of tremendous learning that you have provided. What I thought I would like to do is summarize what I have learned, especially the whole system of Agama, the science of Agama, which I think is very unique, and you've brought it back. I had no idea about all these things before. And I'll sequence the different notes I have taken and ask you questions to clarify understandings. Many of the people who are present in the hall, we have about 1100 to 1200 attendees at this Sada Shivoham event from all over the world. And many of them know these things, but it will help the people on Facebook. We have a large number of Facebook followers of various pages that are watching this. And to those who are watching, I just want to preface with a few remarks to clarify. First of all, this talk is part of a series called Dialogue with the Masters. I have also interviewed the Kanchi Shankaracharya and various people like that. And I will be explaining what I feel is absolutely distinct and unique and extraordinary about Swamiji. And I don't want people to think that this is anything to do, any negative about other gurus, because we're very clear, we respect all our gurus. And each guru, when I interview, I want to give them I want to highlight what their teachings are all about. And I found that having known Swamiji for some time, the more I learn, the more I feel there's something very extraordinary, very unique in him and his teachings, which I want you to know. And something I should tell you up front, Swamiji, when he said, let's have this interview, said, you can ask me anything, provocative, whatever you want. This is very interesting and very unusual. A lot of gurus want me to submit an advanced list of questions, which then get filtered, and then they say, okay, don't ask this, don't ask that. And here is a guru who said, you can ask anything. This is very interesting, because even 2 minutes before the curtain opened, I said, Swamiji, I'll go this way. He said, no, you don't even have to tell me. You ask me whatever you want. This is very, very interesting. And those who are present here can testify that we've had several days of open Q&A with all the people here. You can stand up, ask questions, and Swamiji answers. This is extremely important in this particular day. And Swami, and I will, as I explain the concept of entanglement with the spiritual master, it will become clear why this is actually a very scientific process of closeness, proximity, friendship with the guru, and so on. So let me start, Swamiji. Swamiji, maybe you can bless us this discussion and say a few words.
Nithyanandeshwara samarambam, Nithyanandeshwari madhyamam, Asmad acharya paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. So, I welcome Rajiv ji and everyone here. Very happy to be here, especially after almost 25 days of break. First time I am interacting with the outer world. Last 19 years of Sadashivoham and 4 or 5 days before, I am only spending time with Sadashivoham participants. Today is the first time after 20-25 days, public satsang or public program opening up. Very happy to be here with Rajiv Malhotra ji And let me give more time for him to ask questions, and then I'll get back to all of you while I'm answering. Please continue.
Thank you, Swamiji. So, Swamiji, I want to start with Agama because it seems that that is the heart and center of Hinduism and also your teachings, and manifest in this great ashram, Agamas coming alive. So, Agamas, I would like you to explain what they are, how they relate to Vedas, because people know Vedas and not Agamas as well, and why they are so important and the very heart of Hinduism as it is practiced.
So, first thing, Vedas are the ultimate, superior authority for the Hindus. Vedas are like a pure science where the ultimate truths are explained, but Agamas are the scriptures where the applied technology, the applied science is expanded. Actually, all the Hindu bodies, whether it is Kashi Vidvat Sabha or the Akada Parishad, all the Hindu bodies accept Vedas and Agamas as Shruti. Vedas and Agamas, Veda Agamas are given the status of Shruti. And everything else follows like a Smriti, and they have their own status and respect. Agamas are directly revealed by Sadashiva. I should say, more like a practical manual of how to, what to, when to, where to. All this detailing is answered with the right context, giving enough of understanding, and I should say in a more sympathetic, compassionate way, with a lot of concern for human beings.
User-friendly.
User-friendly. Tremendous user-friendly, with no threat of hell and all that. Throughout the Agama, everywhere, even if we miss something, we are only given completion and prayaschitta, not punishment.
So, Swamiji, all castes are allowed?
Yes,
men,
Agama is very clear. Not only all castes, all beings.
Animals.
Animals. That is why the Agama-based temples, you will see many temples where ant worshipped Sadashiva and become enlightened. Elephant worshipped Sadashiva and become enlightened. So, not only all human beings, all genders, all beings, living beings are given possibility, and Agama is the only book where I very clearly studied, read. Sadashiva says all beings should be initiated. Even the animals, if they reach you for initiation, a guru cannot avoid. A guru cannot deny. No one is denied, including beings.
So, Swamiji, the Agamas are for Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Tantra, Shakta,
Yes.
all the paramparas?
There are Agamas, Shakta Agamas, Vaishnava Agamas, Shaiva Agamas. But all Agamas non-controversially agree. It is delivered by Sadashiva.
So, Swamiji, this must be hundreds of them, thousands of them. How many roughly are there?
I should say, available Agamas are 117.
Okay.
117, we were able to get it as on now. There are Upagamas, which goes to something like 1,000. Means, the Upagamas are same Agamas in a very expanded way, more like a practical manual. For example, Kamika Agama. This Agama gives how the Ganesha should be worshipped, how Shiva should be connected, how you should connect with Devi. The Upagama, the same Kamika Agama, how they have told all this, the Upagama takes it up and organizes it. Like if a temple has a 7 Ganesha, for all 7 Ganesha, they repeat the Ganesh Puja.
Yeah.
It is like if you read the Upagama and you can go on be doing it and go. So there are Upagamas also. I should say all put together. It's at least 2 crore verses available.
Wow.
2 crore verses.
20 million.
20 million verses available.
Wow. So it's the largest body of Hindu texts. More,
I should say.
More quantity than
No, actually,
Vedas, Upanishads,
no, no,
Itihas.
Actually, if you see the quantity described, surely Vedas are larger body,
Okay.
but available. If you see the quantity described, Vedas have thousands of shakas, but all of them are not available.
They're lost.
If you see based on availability, surely I can comfortably, without any controversy, I can say Agamas are the largest body available.
Excellent. Very good. So Swamiji, you also mentioned that Adi Shankara went to Kashmir and learnt
Yes.
Agama.
Adi Shankara went to Kashmir, was initiated into Agamic tradition by Abhinavagupta. There are enough records, there are enough of historical, biographical references where Abhinavagupta initiates Adi Shankara into Shakta tradition. Otherwise, how come suddenly the whole Shakta Srividya Sampradaya manifests from Vedanta Sampradaya?
Yeah.
See, the whole Vedantic thought current of Adi Shankara, and suddenly the whole Srividya, Mahameru, and Devi worship, everything is manifesting.
Right. So
I should say,
yeah.
Adi Shankara connected all dots, all traditions, and built that proper Sanatana Hindu Dharma to the core.
So the fashionable subset of Advaita Vedanta, which is very theoretical, abstract, otherworldly.
I should call them Neo-Vedantis.
They are not, that is not really the complete picture. That is just a withdrawal part of it. But engaging in the pujas and in the whole rituals and so on is very important. And including the Vedantins ought to appreciate that. So Vedantins should not think of this as something sort of lower level and they've gone to some high level, because a lot of Vedantins talk like that. We are intellectual, we are very superior. These guys, this is meant for poor people and uneducated people who do rituals. There is this anti-ritual sort of a sniggering attitude, like arrogance. Would you like to comment why the ritual is actually really heart of who we are?
I should tell you, Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna, the great masters, are answering this question. Somebody goes and asks Ramana Maharshi, why should we worship God in the form of deities, in the form of Archavatar? Ramana Maharshi says very clearly, as long as you think you are inside a body, you have a form, you can connect to God only in the form.
Very important.
Other than that, all the other things you can use like a time pass. You see how you evolve, that is the way your experience about God will evolve.
Very good.
As long as we think we are body, after this interview, if we are going to go and have our breakfast, better to do our worship.
Yeah. No, this is wonderful.
The basic truth is, starting from where we are and reaching where we need to be, just because we know where we need to be, not fantasizing, deluding already where we need to be.
Yes. And it seems that some of the Shastras are making a statement from a state of consciousness which is very evolved, but the person who's receiving it is not in that state. It's a good goal, but he can't imagine that he can bypass all this.
And Shankara makes a beautiful statement in Vivek Chudamani. If you do puja even for one kalpa, without knowing the context, you will not have a result. But nobody understands that word. Without knowing context, if you do only, you will not have a result. With context, if you do, you will have a result.
Yes. So this takes me to our topic of science.
Yes.
Because science is about verifying, testing, having results. So the reason I call this Agama science when we promoted this talk, this Q&A, is because there are two requirements for science. It should be based on some theoretical framework, and for that we have Shastra. And so the theoretical framework should be saying, if you cause this, this will be the effect. If you do this, this will be the result. It's really, science is a theory of causation. This cause produces that result.
Yes.
That's what science is.
Yes.
So Agama says the same thing.
Yes.
Agama says you must do these procedures, you will get these results. It's very clear on that.
Yes.
So it satisfies the first requirement of
Yes.
science. Second requirement is that you should be able to test and verify
Yes.
whether it really works. So if somebody says they are Hindu,
Yes.
they really cannot deny the importance of Agama as a verifiable Shastra,
Yes.
and cannot downplay the importance of what you are doing, because you are rediscovering these,
And also,
testing them.
I found at least 3-4 references. Agamas are not even separate set of scriptures. In the Vedas itself, from Shiva Samhita starts the whole Agama.
Right.
So, we can't even use two separate words, Vedas and Agamas. It's Vedagamas.
Vedagama.
Because what is accepted as Vedas, Shiva Samhita, Agama starts in Shiva Samhita.
Right.
So we should only say Vedagamas.
Vedagama. So the practices, rituals, symbols, very, very intricate, elaborate practices, could be considered similar to like modern technology. There's protocols when you're setting up a Wi-Fi,
I should say.
or kind of complicated stuff that a person who's an engineer knows it makes sense, it's necessary. Somebody else who's using the benefit of it, who's driving a car, doesn't know that all the engineering that goes into it. He might not think it is important, but it is important. So Agama is doing that.
Sometimes, not only he does not understand it is important, he starts making fun of the people who are making the car.
Yeah. So making fun of Agama priest, or
Yes.
somebody who says this temple should be designed according to Agama, the marriage should be done according to it, the whole worship of deity. If making fun of this or thinking it's unimportant, it's sort of like some tech person saying that, engineering is unimportant, but I love to drive a car. It is that sort of a thing. So the Shastra, now you also mentioned that there is
See,
Shastra Praman. Shastra Praman, the Shastra as knowledge source, and Apta Praman, when there is exemplaries, could be, avatar like Krishna, or could be a rishi like Patanjali. Their experience has also been written. And then after studying these, you have to internalize and experience it for yourself, reproduce this thing, which is Atma Praman. And only after doing these three, you can go and teach to others, which is Sakshi Praman. This is what you explain. Beautiful.
Basically, Veda and Agamas are considered as Shastra Pramana. It is non-controversial. Anyone who is the follower of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the accepting the superiority, authority of the Veda Agamas is the basic thing. And masters who accept the authority of the Veda Agamas only can be called as Aptas. Anyone and everyone cannot be called as Aptas. And all their words cannot be taken as Apta Pramana. Masters who accept the authority of the Vedas, Shastra Pramana, like Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, those great beings, Patanjali, Krishna, the beings, the great masters, exemplaries, who accept the authority of the Vedagamas are Aptas. Their input is very much needed, because time to time they make the whole thing again alive.
New context.
They bring the whole Sanatana Hindu Dharma as real
Right.
in every new context.
Yes.
So Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana are the authorities for Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Anybody who gets any Atma Pramana, they have to acid wash their Atma Pramana with Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana. Whatever stands that acid wash only should be shared with the world. See, many times, many people, they say, oh, it's my experience, and I don't need to be bothered about Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana. No. Many times, your own experience may be even good for you. I'm not saying you don't have experience. It may be only good for you. If you want to teach it to the world, it should stand the scrutiny of Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana.
Very good. Yes.
Because sometimes you might have got the Satori without knowingly practicing vegetarian, but unknowingly you lived a vegetarian lifestyle, you got Satori. If you say, I will not refer the Shastras, you will not know vegetarianism is a prerequisite for Satori. You will not teach that to your next generation. Only if you refer the Shastras, if you refer the apta pramana and shastra pramana, you will know, yes, vegetarianism is basic requirement, and I was practicing it without my knowledge.
So if I haven't studied Shastra, but I somehow experienced something, I fully don't understand why I experienced it. I just coincidental also. It could be past life, could be whatever. And so it may not be fully responsible to go and teach other people.
Yes.
Because
The adhikaratva
yeah.
of teaching comes only if you scrutinize all your experiences with Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana, and your Atma Pramana, your personal experience, stands the scrutiny of the Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana.
So basically what I understand is teachers, and there are some of them important ones, who go around saying, I have this experience, I don't believe in Shastra, it is my experience I'm teaching you. What they are really saying is, my Atma Praman is enough to teach you without reference to the Shastra Praman or the Apta Praman.
Which is
irresponsible.
dangerous.
Which is very irresponsible.
Not only irresponsible, many times dangerous.
Yes.
See, there are some asanas should not be done by people who are drinking alcohol. There are some pranayamas should not be done. People who are consuming non-veg. This guru himself, when he was practicing, he might have been a natural vegetarian and natural non-alcoholic.
But did not know the cause-effect link.
He did not know that was also a reason why he got experience.
Right.
So when we do not read the clear signs,
Right.
it is like a compounder becoming doctor. In Indian villages, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Because he lived with a doctor, he slowly starts thinking, oh, for headache, black tablet. For stomach pain, yellow tablet. For knee pain, green tablet. As long as the pharmaceutical companies don't change the color, things are okay.
Right.
But what will happen if the company changes the color?
Yeah.
So many times, when we deny the authority of the Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana, we are behaving irresponsibly, and it is dangerous, especially for the seekers and followers.
Very good.
I always insist the seekers and followers, wherever you go, even if you go to an astrologer or a Vastu consultant or yoga, anything spiritual, always find whether they have the adhikaratva to teach. Adhikaratva, authority to teach, comes only if they acid wash their experience, their knowledge, their understanding with the original Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana.
And this is why I'm very glad every time we've had a discussion, you've said, I'll show you the exact original source. And you are going to publish it in a book and give everybody a copy of
Already a major things we have published. The remaining things are also ready, which is coming out, which is getting released, printed and getting out. Whether the food you eat in our ashram, or the dress you wear, or the jewelries you are given, or the way you are made to sit in mandala, or the basma or the kumkum which we are giving, or the rituals we are conducting, or every process I am doing, or every concept I am explaining, I can give you Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana and my Atma Pramana. I can make that as a Sakshi Pramana for you.
That's very important.
I am very clear, and I also wanted to put this on record. There are many of my Atma Pramanas. I have not yet found Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana, so I am not revealing them. I am just keeping them. Wait. Let me only teach first whatever I can acid wash.
Right.
Whatever stands the scrutiny of Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana, let that be presented to the world first and made into Sakshi Pramana.
So basically, my experience, your experience only should be taught if it is filtered through the texts.
Acid washed.
Yes,
I
acid
should use
washed.
the word.
Acid
That's
washed.
the right word I'll use.
Very tough.
Acid washed by the Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana.
Yes. Because
It should stand the scrutiny of both. Only then it should be shared with the world. That is the only non-dangerous, safe path, I can tell you, with all my integrity. Either I have done good to my followers, or I have not done bad to any of my followers.
This I know.
I have done good. If not, I have not done bad.
Yeah.
Because everything, I am very integrated. With all my integrity, I can tell, I stand by the Shastras and Aptas as the first priority.
Yes. So here's my challenge to all the viewers who have doubts or cynicism about why so many rituals, why these symbols, what is going on. If you are a Hindu and if you subscribe to Hinduism, you have to subscribe then by definition to the Agama Shastra.
Yes.
And so my challenge is, look at all the processes, all the rituals Swamiji is doing, all the things happening in his ashram, check them against the Shastras, and if you feel something is not correct, only then you have a right to raise an issue. Otherwise,
And we are also very open. If you feel anything, please bring. We will give you the right references and answers.
yes. And
We are always ready to show the authority of the Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana. See, if you reject the Shastra Pramana itself, then we have no business for you.
then you're not a Hindu.
Not only that, we don't want to talk to you.
Yeah,
We are not interested.
Yeah. No, that is
As long as see, there are people who are interested in learning. I am ready for all seekers' question.
yes.
But I am not ready for people who reject outright the whole Shastra itself.
Right.
Then I don't have a business with them.
Right.
Then you go on, better you do what you want to do.
Right. So the empirical foundation of all the practices
Yes.
is verified two ways.
Yes.
One is it produces the results being
Results.
promised, and secondly, it is completely in compliance with the Shastra. As long as that is the case, there is no logical scientific basis for you to reject.
And one more thing.
Unless somebody is cynical, ignorant, influenced by some stupid media or somebody else, if you are a sensible person, you should rely on your own testimony. You should come here, check it out for yourself. This is what I tell people when they ask me, what about this, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. I tell them that is irrational and unscientific unless you've gone and checked it out for yourself. So you have to come here and make up your own mind based on what you actually see. That is a very important
See,
message.
whether the Rudraksh Mala you are wearing, or the sacred thread we are giving, or the mantras we chant, or the process people go through, or the yoga they do, everything. Unless I find original Shastra Pramana and supporting Apta Pramana, I do not teach, I do not share. If I see any gap anywhere, I put them in back burner.
Yes.
I tell them, okay, I'm not rejecting, but I'm not going to teach this now.
Yes.
Let's do it slowly. Next step.
Yes. No, this is very clear.
And
So,
even the spiritual alchemy products, including the thread color we use, I have the original references of the Agama Shastra Pramana. And already, I think even few days before I showed you full 5 files.
yes.
Bunch of files,
Yes.
where one by one, every step, a clear explanation and original references. All the things we do, whether it's the action or thinking process or any kriyas, everywhere, I put Shastra Pramana and Apta Pramana as the first priority.
Very good. So it is very authentic with the Agamas as the founding principles, which is clear. So Swamiji, this means that people should not translate our texts and our stories and our processes as myth.
Yes.
The word myth is very, very dangerous because myth says it's very arbitrary. I can do it this way. You are doing it that way. It's all myth anyway. Who knows? Who knows what is the truth? This is really demeaning our culture.
Not only that, this is the way we ourselves started losing trust on our traditions.
Yes. By translating as mythology.
Yes.
And a lot of our postmodernized Hindus have started adopting that language. They think it doesn't matter, this is just, we'll talk like that, but it propagates and gets worse and worse.
Yes.
People really dilute and get distorted about their own understanding. So I think a large number of Hindus, maybe 50-60% of the Hindus themselves are not really understanding Hinduism properly.
Yes.
And therefore understanding the Agamas from a real authority is very necessary to become proper Hindu.
Yes.
Hindus need to be converted to...
Practicing Hindus.
Yeah.
If they want to see the fruits and results of Hinduism, I'll strongly promote get back to Vedagamas.
Yes. So Hindus need to be converted to Hinduism before we say we could convert other people.
Hindus need to start living Hinduism.
You need to start Hinduism. So, Swamiji, the scope of agamas is also in temples, how
Yes.
they're constructed, location of the temple,
Yes.
orientation,
Yes.
yeah, marriage.
Yes. All the rituals, houses, even where we stay, houses, how a city should be, how a village should be, how a palace should be, in a details. I should say, people ask me, why should we follow? I should say, if you start only, you will understand. So much of time will not be wasted in reinventing.
Right.
See, this whole agama has come from such higher space. Even if you do R&D, after 200 years you will end up same. If you bring the agamas and start using, you will not be wasting 200 years of R&D. That's all I should say.
Yes. So, Swamiji, you said there's also agamas for yoga.
Yes.
So, it's not only Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the whole agamas about it.
Actually, Patanjali himself refers agamas as the source of yoga, at least in 3 places. At least in 3 places he refers. Not only that, so even if you see Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is more like a notes. He is talking as if there are many ideas of yoga already exist in all the disciples' understanding. He is not getting into the details.
Right.
The way he is describing shows very clearly already the whole yoga system existed. The source of that yoga system is agamas.
And he doesn't give asana details.
Yes.
But the agamas do.
Agamas give 800 asanas, which we have picked up. Fortunately, we were able to collect those palm leaves and those manuscripts. Now we have also translated into English. It is already ready. Very soon it will be uploaded to the internet for free.
So, I just want people to know that I got a peek of that soft copy. So, we are going to get a 800 asanas
Yes.
from the agamas.
In hard copy and soft copy
soft
both.
copy, the original translation, how to do it, everything.
See that. First we put the original verse, Shastra Pramana, where they describe to raise the right leg, left leg, all the detail. That verse is translated into English. Then Apta Pramana, great gurus like Maschendranatha, Goraknatha, Aptas in the field of yoga, Patanjali. All of them are Aptas in the field of yoga. If they have spoken about the same asana, what is their description?
Yes.
Their understanding? They give sometimes little more input. They give little more details. Like when you do it, this is the way you should do it. This is what you will face as a consequence, all that. So that Apta Pramana is added. Then Atma Pramana, my own experience. How I got it from my gurus.
So, this negates all the scholarship which is becoming fashionable. A lot of people have written history of yoga that, this Iyengar's guru got it from the YMCA and they got it from Western, athletics, and this Christian yoga that Jesus Christ started it. All of that, because this is straight from Sadashiva.
Straight
and
from
the other.
Sadashiva with Apta references.
With up, yes.
I see original Agama, Shastra Pramana, and some asanas are described even in Upanishads. So, Vedas and Agamas, in this, wherever these original statements are there, that is Shastra Pramana. Then, great masters like Maschendranatha, Goraknatha, Kshemaraja, and Patanjali, these great masters, yoga masters, their Apta Pramana, they means the words from them. And then my Atma Pramana, how I received from my gurus and what I experienced when I practiced.
This means, Swamiji, that if somebody goes to United Nations and says that yoga has nothing to do with Hinduism, basically what he's doing is either he's disconnecting agamas from Hinduism and says agamas can be, you can play the myths and all that, you don't need that, or he's saying that somehow this is nothing to do with agama. So he's somehow rupturing, disconnecting yoga from
Surely
its roots.
no one can say yoga has nothing to do with Hinduism. Yoga is rooted in Hinduism. See, the fruits can be shared with the whole world.
Yes.
I agree 100%, fruits can be shared with the whole world.
Yes.
But the tree is rooted in Sanatana Hindu Dharma,
Very
in
good.
Veda Agamas.
Very good.
I am very clear about it.
Yes. So Swamiji, this
Actually, if we are trying to cut our own roots, are we not too superficial and not having the larger vision about our future
yes.
and the next generation?
Only somebody who is just sort of taught cut and paste through some books and here and there could be so irresponsible and also opportunistic, because they're probably talking what the world wants to hear rather than being responsible. Maybe they'll get some awards, maybe they'll become famous, they'll get some more money. So this is more of an opportunistic dilution of Hinduism, which is very sad because some of our own people are doing it. So I also want to say that I'm very happy that you have picked up the project of not only the text part of Agama, compiling all the Agamas, translating them, and we are going to do, Infinity Foundation India is going to do a series of conferences on Agama with your
Thank
blessings.
you. Yes. Blessings.
And Janardhan Sharma, who is doing the translation project here, is going to be part of that. We are going to launch every year for several years until it is really established that this is the heart of Hinduism and this is where the expertise lies. So that is one project we're very happy. Other thing I heard you say
We have a 3 terabyte material collected, Rajiv.
on Agama.
On Agamas. 1 terabyte is already uploaded. Other 2 terabytes, the cleaning up work is going on. But whatever we have uploaded also, we have not completely translated. There are some organizations have done some part, and we are not doing that same part repetitively. There are much, I should say, 80% of the Agamas is still not translated. So that 80%, we are picking up and giving priorities, like immediate needs, cooking, agriculture, clothes, jewelry, our lifestyle related thought currents. All these parts we are picking up. Already 50 people are working. Now we are expanding it to at least 200 people. More and more we will be translating true to the original and uploading the whole thing freely in our website, Hinduism Now. For free of cost, anybody can download, learn, research, propagate and enjoy.
And this is the response to the Murthy Classics Library, where they took their plan is to take 500 texts and get Western scholars like Pollock, who have no connection with the practice, no connection with Hinduism.
I
to
strongly
translate.
feel people who practice Hinduism should translate.
Nobody else.
Practicing academicians only,
Yes.
as the authority,
Yes.
adhikaratva,
Yes.
to translate and propagate.
Yes. So this is a phenomenal, it's got so many values. One of them is the battle we are fighting with the Western Indologists who are non-practitioners, who don't even have proper respect.
In our Sangha, Rajiv, I am very clear, only if he is a practicing agamic priest, he has a temple where he goes every morning and evening, does his rituals, who is sincere to the lifestyle of Agama.
Yes.
Only his translation, I agree.
Yes.
I accept.
So this is very good. So Wendy Doniger, for those of you who are not familiar with, looks at all of our practices through the lens of sexual abuse, sex, and Sheldon Pollock's look through power structure, power asymmetry, oppression, and things like that. Neither of them look at it as spiritually legitimate. So removing the spiritual legitimacy has been why they become very popular with the left, because the left thinks they got a weapon to hit Hinduism. So this project is our response, because we are saying from proper authority, and I'm sure the Akhada Parishad will also support.
Yes.
They will-
It's already supported by Akhada Parishad.
Yes.
Already
So
supported
this will
by Akhada
become the
Parishad.
official how to be a Hindu.
Yes.
This kind of a series of texts, how to be a Hindu, once.
And I am very clear, our text should be translated only by practicing people.
Very good.
Because by practice, you will have a clear, deeper understanding of the context.
Yes. So Swamiji, the other great project is you're building almost it's like a theme park with all the deities, or lingas, or all the nakshatras, all the planets, everything properly represented, explained. Every agama ritual done to find the material, even though it's very rare to find, your people have to go around the country looking for rare herbs or whatever. But you're doing this very systematically. Can you tell us about the vision you have once it is complete?
Yes. See, basically, Sadashiva gives a very elaborate description of the way that celestial energies, divine energies of other planes like a rishis, munis, kinnara, kimburudar, gandharva, gandhara, yaksha and devas, ganas, all of them, and how they practice and specialize certain things. Like a Gandharvas are the lord of music. Ganas are the lord of herbs. Siddhas are the lord of spiritual alchemy, Jnana Rasavada. So by describing about all of them, he also describes the process they all do. So here in this campus I am trying to bring all those plants, herbs and their deities, how they are described. The form of them, how it is described by Sadashiva matters. You can't just imagine and connect with them. How they are described, if you remember them, I strongly believe, I should say my belief is supported with my experience. When you remember them, the way they are described in the Agamas, they do respond to us.
So it is provable, verifiable.
It is provable, verifiable. So I am trying to establish all of that, around 1,000, the divine beings described by Sadashiva. We have already converted that into painting, means drawing. Now it is getting converted into a deity. And you have seen already one part is establishing is started. With the Shivalinga they worshipped, the type of puja they did, and the plants and herbs related to them will be planted around them.
So Swamiji, I want to make clear to people that the idea of a museum is different because museum is a dead civilization.
Yes.
The idea of museum started when West conquered so many civilizations. They found strange artifacts they could not explain, understand using their own lens, and they were too arrogant to understand the lens of the natives. So they brought all these things and they needed a place to showcase them. So museum is a showcase of conquered civilizations.
Yes.
And basically this is a museum of ancient Egypt, this is a museum of the Native Americans and whatnot. So we are not here building a museum, but
we are reviving the whole thing and bringing back to life.
Yeah, this is a living society, living Samaj, living Sangha of the ancient Vedic way of life. That is what you're building. This is very unusual.
Living presentation of the world's most ancient, still living civilization.
So this is, so now another thing that very interesting conversation I had with you, which we should discuss, is you mentioned that the temples like Angkor Wat in Cambodia is actually a mandala. When you look at it from the sky.
No, actually it is mandala.
It is mandala. And when Chidambaram temple, mandala. So now the mandalas you gave us were individual, small, and there's a certain energy, certain scientific purpose, and we are learning how to use them and get the benefit as per Agamas. So can you explain this huge mandala called a temple, where obviously it is not for one person, but for a whole society maybe?
See, our body itself is a mandala. Earth, water, fire, air and space, all the elements, if they are balanced, not only we will be healthy, we will be radiating powers of Sadashiva. So all mandalas start with our body, Pindanda, macrocosm. If we have any imbalance, then the small mandalas are made for the individual to get to the balance and peak possibility of Sadashivatva. A guru sees the disciple, oh, this energy is disturbed. Then he makes a mandala, energizes it. The energy put in the mandala, and one unique thing, the cosmic energy can be infused into a matter and given to somebody, and that can do a strong process on the receiver, and expected result can be generated on the being, is the science unique to Agama and Hinduism. It's unique to Agama and Hinduism. We have successfully established this beyond any placebo effects, much more than many accepted pharmaceutical company medicines percentage and ratio. First thing, when it is given for an individual, it is called mandala. Sometime the whole city may need a new life. Then the mandala for the whole city is built, that is temple.
So temple is a process for a large number of people.
Yes, and sometimes you may need mandala for the whole civilization. Angkor, what is the mandala built? For the whole civilization.
Wonderful.
Even in India, if you see the Google map, you can see many of the major Hindu temples, especially is connected like a Panchabhuta Sthalas. They sit in a proper mandala style with a clear corners. Now only with Google map we are studying, but in those days how they did it nobody knows.
This means that the whole archaeology has to be redone.
Yes.
Because Western archaeology, which has influenced Indian archaeologists, basically removed the sacredness.
Yes.
And the way they're interpreting the temple, they will appreciate the metallurgy was good, stone carving was good, but they don't understand what was the purpose.
Yes.
They do not understand the sacred purpose.
I tell you, without the sacred purpose, we cannot understand Indian civilization.
Yes, and you know, the Archaeological Survey of India, being a part of a secular government establishment, their rules say that when something becomes under the control of the archaeological department, it is, you cannot do pujas there, because then you are violating the secular thing. So, for instance, in Mahabalipuram, there are these huge carvings. They are actually deities.
Mandalas.
But because the ASI controls them, they are not. There is no pujas being done. So these are things we have to be conscious of, to bring to the attention of our own government, that when something is discovered which is clearly sacred, then either the Archaeological Survey should have a department that knows agamas and understand them, or they should turn it over to somebody like the Akhada Parishad and let them take over and do the pujas once more. This I think will be a very big help. Another point I wanted to make, Swamiji, is you've discussed that the chronology of the West, when they look at a text and how they date it, basic flaw is they look at when this particular piece of paper was written, but they don't realize that it was authored much earlier. And Sadashiva authored something, and then manifestations of Sadashiva revive it. So maybe the original leaf or something on which it was written we don't have, but the revival is not the date of origin.
And one more thing, we are a Shruti Sampradaya and Smriti Sampradaya.
Yes.
We never noted down, penning, we never used to pen down in those days. The penning down started much later.
Yes.
So the only best way to date our scriptures is, fortunately all scriptures record the astronomical, astrological details in their scriptures for various reasons, like Ramayana elaborately records the day of Rama's birth and when he left for Vanavasa, everything. So we should date only based on that astronomical, astrological references.
Yeah,
only that should be used as a method for dating. And even in Agama, there are many references of these astronomical, astrological details.
Yes.
We should only use them.
So the sky is like a clock.
Yes.
And they always reference how the clock was looking.
One thing, the intricacy with which our masters describe, I can be 100% sure, unless they are seeing it on that day, it cannot be described.
Yeah. So that is a better chronology. It
cannot be predicted at all.
Yes.
It can only be described if they are seeing. So we should take that as a standard and date our scriptures based on this scale.
So Swamiji, the agamas are individual, like codified procedures and so on, but there must be a grammar or a language beneath which is common. So is it a possibility that you would one day develop what is the grammar of the agamas? For instance, take a flower with your right hand and move it around the prasad and offer it. Now, then I'm doing this for something, other object, other object. So there is a construct called doing this, which can be applied to various situations. Mudras are also some kind of a grammatical construct. So is there...
Some of the great masters, 2-3 I should say, Patanjali and Kshemaraja, they have all tried and they are successful to certain level. I will also surely add whatever little I could add doing this dictionary for the Agama to become a Sakshi Pramana.
Because Swamiji, then a person will have some way of understanding that there are something similar, some patterns are similar in various procedures and why they are being done.
Yes.
Why it is a flower and it cannot be made of silk or paper or synthetic. Why it has to be real flower. Why this is rice and it cannot be popcorn or something else. I had a Gehanand Bharati, who was an Austrian who became a sadhu and then U-turned back and abused Hinduism. He was a professor of anthropology in the US when I was there in 1970 and 71. And he used to do all this homa and he used to say, don't worry, if you do not have rice, you put popcorn, God doesn't care. Very careless. So where you are supposed to put in a certain substance, he would say you just put in anything. In fact, turning it into myth, trivializing it. So this kind of a book of grammar.
It's completely wrong.
Yeah.
I think at least they should not call that as Agama or Hinduism.
Yes, yes.
They can do what they want in their own name.
So Swamiji, here I want to mention that people who became known as pagans from the pre-Christian Europe, pre-Christian Africa, pre-Christian Americas, Christianity conquered them and had to abuse their religion to justify conquering them. So they had lot of processes which may resemble ours,
Yes.
Vedas and Agamas in certain ways. However, the reason that they could be wiped out, while we couldn't, one reason is they did not have Shastra.
Yes.
They did not have Shastra.
Shastra.
So somebody there had discovered some process and it worked for him, so he started continuing it.
I should say, somebody came and learned from here and went.
Yes.
But the source remained here.
Yes. So this transfer of Shastra didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
So therefore these Shastra-less pagan civilizations are very vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
And not easy to revive.
Yes.
Because here we at least have somebody who can come and revive, say, okay, I found the Shastras and I revive it. So this is one big difference between Hinduism and pagan.
Our effort should be to protect our Shastras.
Shastras are the foundation.
And in its original context.
Yes.
And we should not let people wrongly translate, wrongly interpret. Non-practitioners should not involve in our translation and preaching. They should not steal the adhikaratva
Yes.
of representing Shastras.
That is correct. And Swamiji, we should also, there are still some pre-Christian pagan societies that are practicing.
Yes.
And they don't know why they're practicing. They don't have the Shastra.
We will be able to
teach them.
easily connect them and educate
Educate them. And some of them
and
have
the original
approached,
Shastras.
some of them have approached us and want to know, they worship goddess, but they don't have the depth of metaphysics understanding. So we have a huge alliance possible because, you know, if you say Islam is 2 billion, Christianity is 1.5 billion, you know, even if all of these Abrahamic religions are 4 billion, that's about half the world. So there is other people left.
Yes.
And these other people are little groups here and there, and they don't have a unifying metaphysics, and Veda Agama could be their metaphysics.
Yes.
So
surely Veda Agama will be there, unifying metaphysics.
so we can bring them, they become Hindus also then. This is a huge project. But first we have to convert our Hindus into Hinduism. Then we can think big. So Swamiji, next I want to discuss you taught us Sadashiva as the ultimate reality. Now Sadashiva manifests in many ways. Two very important ways are as living master and living enlightened master, and as deity.
Yes.
Both are persons.
Yes.
Deity is also a person.
Being.
Being.
Living being.
So I relate to living enlightened master as Sadashiva's form, and I relate to a deity as Sadashiva's form, because by this relationship I can get entangled with them, and through this entanglement I can also acquire more and more of the qualities and eventually hope to become the same manifestation myself. This is the science.
This is the science.
This science is based on...
Actually, I should say one more thing. Even the fire and the representing forms are also added as the expressions of Sadashiva in Agama. Not just these two,
Yes.
these two more also.
Two more. Now, the
Representing form means like a mandala and the linga. It does not have face and all that. It represents Sadashiva.
it represents. So now, one of the things that I wanted to do is to differentiate the qualities of the living master as quantum entanglement possibility for me and worship versus deity. Now it seems that the living master offers the advantage that he looks like us, he eats like us, tells us jokes, dances with us, teaches us, so it's more user friendly,
I should say, giving more confidence to our biomemory
Yes,
that we can take this quantum jump.
yes. Whereas the deity, I do worship, I do seva, I do all the things, but deity doesn't come back and dance with me. Doesn't talk. I mean, it's not the same relationship. It's more one way. I'm doing for the deity, but I don't really necessarily have the deity calling me up and saying, okay, change this, do that. So can we say that both are equivalent, but the living master has the advantage that the living master is easier for us?
See, initially, surely living master is easier, but the deity is, for the mass, you can help through deities.
And the deity
For a larger number of people, the individual, one master will not be able to be engaging with a larger number of people. So at those times, deity is always useful.
But can we also say that the deity was once upon a time a living master?
Yes, sure.
We can say
all deities, you see, when deities were living, they were masters. When masters are gone, they are deities.
So how do we explain then the presence, the divine presence in something like Ganga, which is that a deity?
I should say, Ganga itself is not just collection of the large quantity of water. Because of its sheer quantity and the way it behaves, it develops a unique, independent will and character, and she becomes a deity.
So
She becomes energy. She also responds to our thoughts, prayers, and she relates with us. She reveals truths. She gives boon. She is a living deity just because of her existence and the size of her existence.
So Swamiji, in the Ramayana, Hanuman is also said to be a Shiva avatar.
Yes.
So how do you explain this, that Shiva avatar enters the Vaishnav text?
See what I am saying? The Shiva's energy, Shiva's own bioenergy, is received by Hanumanji's mother. And then she gives birth to Hanumanji. So the bioenergy is from Sadashiva himself.
So
one thing to see, if you see deeply, in our original texts, we never had this confusion of the sampradayas trying to fight with each other. See, they always declared their supremacy through what they are contributing, never by putting others down.
Yes.
Or denying. For example, Ramachandra Prabhu, Sri Rama, after killing Kakashura, he establishes Shiva in Ramanagara and worships. After killing Ravana, he establishes Shiva in Rameshwaram and worships. There are two Rameshwarams. One in Ramanagara here in Bidadi, and one in Rameshwaram near the end of the South India, end of the tip of the South India, Tamil Nadu. So understand, no sampradaya tries to establish their supremacy by putting the others down.
So
And Shiva Mahapurana says very clearly, in Kashi, Sadashiva liberates people by giving them Taraka Mantra of Ramanama.
So
It's Shiva Purana says.
So it seems that the Sadashiva's manifestations are so many and
Yes.
so complex. They also are worshipping each other.
Yes.
So
I should say, there are 28 incarnations of Sadashiva described in Kurma Purana. Durvasa, Muni, so many descriptions are there. All of them, when they were in the body, they worshipped Devi.
So Sadashiva in form X worships Sadashiva in form Y.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing.
That should be the understanding.
Yeah.
You see, whenever he manifests, even Sadashiva himself, when he manifests in human frame, he sets a trend for other human beings. See, he manifests only to teach to other human beings.
Yes, yes.
If he is going to be in his state of non-practicing, then he does not even need to manifest.
Yes, yes. So, Swamiji, this is where I wanted to find out the difference between, or the relationship between yajna in the Vedas, which is the process, and agamas. Is yajna a kind of agama, or agama a kind of yajna?
I should say, in Vedas, yajnas are performed more to connect with the deities and make them feel happy, blissful, and receive boons from them.
Yes.
In agamas, not only deities, even the other divine beings, and without even any independent, intelligent, willed God, even the processes like a spiritual alchemy process, jnana rasavada, is done as yajna. That one unique contribution is in agamas. For example, all agamic homas and rituals are not always like a connecting with Ganesha, Subramanya, Sadashiva, Durga, Kali. They are even spiritual alchemy processes where certain objects are brought together and burnt, boiled, and the result is like a nuclear missile,
Right.
or a flight, or a circuit which generates energy. So even these objects, this kind of extraordinary things, are also called as yajna in agama. That is the one difference. Here, pleasing, connecting, relating with the deities are also there, and these other actions are also called as agama, yajna in agamas.
So not only there's no conflict,
Yes.
but actually one leads to the other.
One leads to the other.
They're both one spectrum.
Yes.
That is okay. So for the benefit of those who did not attend the last 19-20 days, the people who are viewing it, I want to say that I first came across the concept of quantum entanglement through Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's followers about 30 years ago as a physics student. And there they talked about, physics, quantum mechanics talks about entanglement of photons, electrons. But they started talking about the conscious being's entanglement using this quantum idea and said, okay, we can also do this. And then they wrote a lot of physics, high-flown papers and all that they produced, and I was very, very impressed. So I also made it part of my vocabulary that maybe the processes we do, and I use the word maybe because I did not know what I now know having come here, but before I came here, it was a hypothesis for me that maybe there is a quantum entanglement analogy, something similar going on when a being is entangling or really involved with the guru or with the deity or with Sadashiva, Brahman or whatever. And so it was more like a possibility that our texts talk about. But I didn't know that there is an actual procedure and a protocol to make it happen. So one of the things that I've learned here is that what was always a theoretical model for me, and I've written so much about quantum entanglement of beings and consciousness, and I'm writing actually in a book also this. But what I learned here is things like the quantum entanglement methods include things like yoga, dancing, kirtan. Is not just fun going on, we're entangling celebrations, procession of deities, guru entanglement, deity worship, linga abhishekam, homas, darshan, energy darshans, power manifestations, the various Q&A sessions to sit and discuss, to sit and have chai and talk and various kinds of things. Living in the ashram, walking barefoot, getting wet and walking barefoot, saying it's okay, is part of going back to our natural state. And in that natural state, we are more easily entangled, whereas when we are tightened up, wearing boots and clothes and all that stuffy modern life, we are blocking the entanglement of our own will. We are blocking that. So a whole lot of things that we do here are actually entanglement facilitators.
Yes.
So this is a big new idea that I have learned. Is this okay?
I should say, the Shaktini Pata is the word for quantum entanglement. If I have to roughly translate, Sadashiva uses the word Shaktini Pata. And whatever you describe is perfect. He goes even one step further. even taking bath in the same water in which master took bath or the deity has been given bath.
Because that water has become entangled.
Entangled.
Yeah.
And sprinkling that same water on your head.
Yes.
So, to the extreme level, Sadashiva describes this quantum entanglement not only in the physical level, even thought currents. If I express certain thought current and you are wow, you feel wow about it, then the entanglement has started.
And so one is direct entanglement between conscious being and conscious being. One seems to be entanglement through matter.
Yes.
So mandala plays a role
Yes.
there. Vibhuti.
Yes.
So there is, when we say that this food is sacred
Yes.
or this object is sacred,
Sacred.
what we are saying is that it has been entangled with,
Yes.
with Sadashiva.
Yes.
And now when I entangle with it, I have access to the same.
Yes.
It's all sort of like some kind of software has been linked.
Yes.
And I am downloading it from there because maybe I don't have access to Sadashiva,
Yes.
but I have access to this entity which has been energized. So this process actually is very scientific because it is verifiable.
Jnana Rasavada object, the object which has gone through a spiritual alchemy process, one end of it is matter, another end of it is Sadashiva.
Very true. Very good.
It's a bridge.
Yes.
It's a God particle in particle.
Yes.
God in particle
Yes.
form. So that reproduces the same experience in us.
Yes. This is actually what you just said, as I understand, is the fundamental scientific principle behind everything we're
Everything.
doing. And this differentiates Hinduism from all those things.
From all traditions.
Because over there, this is accused as idol worship and banned. So what we call divinity in matter is banned because it's called idolatry. So this is, you can never say these things are the same because there's an opposite effect. And a good poison pill is for us to supply to them what is banned. As each time we hold our ground and say that, look, this sacredness we cannot compromise. We cannot say Ganga is just an ordinary river and this Murti is just a piece of stone and the living master is just another teacher. We cannot do that. And so as long as we hold on to these, we are not going to get digested because these are non-digestible. So we have the authenticity leads to our security as non-digestible and also serves as a poison pill to anybody else.
And it produces results.
Yes. Yes.
Only the authenticity produces results.
Yes.
See, I have also faced many people who say, why if the rice is not there, it's okay.
Yeah.
God is not going to be angry with popcorn, let me throw that.
Yeah.
People come and try to tell me that. I tell them, understand. For example, you revere a person. If that person himself wrote a manual how he needs to be treated, will you do something on your own?
Yeah.
No.
That's very true. Yes. You have to respect the source.
Source.
Yeah. So this takes me to an issue which has become controversial and I think we want to resolve it. A lot of people saying, why Swamiji doing siddhis, you're not supposed to do siddhis, and you have explained that siddhis is different, we are doing shaktis. So can you explain the difference between siddhi and shakti?
Yes. Rajiv, first thing, the concept of siddhi is from Yoga Vedanta Sampradaya, the Yoga Sampradayas. The truth of Shakti is from Agama Sampradaya. Just few minutes before I was explaining, the thought current entanglement. For example, if your teacher is yoga teacher and he says, you have an individual identity, ego, that needs to be purified and you need to reach soul. If you start getting entangled with this thought current, your whole life you will be proceeding in that thought current. So on the way, when the ego is manifesting higher and higher experiences, that is called siddhi. Here, the very thought current I entangle with all of you, or all of you are entangled, is from Sadashiva. He says very clearly, starts with oneness. Here, it is very clear, if you feel that you have a lower identity, it is only considered as a disorder, but not as an existence.
Very true.
Your See, the very introduction, the context with which the entanglement happens, initiation happens. For example, if you are going to be initiated, receiving Shaktini Pada from a yoga guru who tells you, you are an ego, you need to reach the soul, that is what will be your path.
Yes.
But if you are entangling, getting initiated, Shaktini Pada with a guru, you are Sadashiva, and if anywhere it is not manifesting, it's just a blind spot, let me clean it up. That is what is going to be your reality.
So in Shaktis, you're getting more and more in Siddhis, you're getting more and more entangled with ego. In Shaktis, you're getting more and more entangled with Sadashiva.
Sadashiva.
So then the question as to why should we demonstrate, let me explain and tell me if it's right or wrong. Some of the people have also said, why do you want to go on giving demos, you're showing off and that what. So the way I understand it is that just like the analogy of physical strength in my body with muscles, when I go and do some workout, okay, I'm exercising certain muscles. As those muscles get stronger, it has an echo effect on other muscles.
Yes.
Because circulation improves, the nerves supply improves. And so other muscles which I was not using also become activated, and they also become better. So as more muscles get strong, then it encourages even more and more. So this is why an athlete who plays one sport can pick up another sport.
Yes.
Because his body is more like that. So similarly, Shaktis, if some Shaktis manifest, it will also have an effect or help other Shaktis.
Yes.
And this awakening of Shaktis will bring one closer and closer to Sadashiva.
Yes.
So it is a spiritual process,
Yes.
it is not a circus.
It is a pure spiritual process. I can give you all enough of original references, enough of original agamas. The basic understanding I am giving itself, the basis of the Shaktini Pada itself is oneness, Sadashivatva, Shivoham. That is the basic understanding from where the Shaktini Pada, the entanglement starts. So, in few days, more and more they start getting entangled with this truth. The more and more powers manifest. When they manifest the powers, they get more and more entangled with the original truth.
Yes.
Actually, powers are side effects of the entanglement with the original truth.
They just sort of natural thing.
Natural expression. And I should also say, why then we do demos and we show it off to people? I should say, showing it off is not right word. When we express, manifest, we inspire the people who are seeing
Right.
to come back to this original Shivoham space which they are also carrying.
And one of the things that people who are watching should know is that one of the ways Swamiji has wanted to entangle, actually Swamiji has come up with so many ways to help us get entangled with Sadashiva. One of them is with those young kids here who are manifesting powers, as we entangle with them, we also manifest ourselves.
Yes.
So this manifestation also triggers echo effect, mirror
See,
effect.
When you see somebody swimming,
Yes,
your biomemory gets the confidence you can also swim.
yes. And certain parts of the brain get activated, for that swimming
That
person.
mirroring neuron effect starts happening.
Correct. So
Same
this,
way,
yes,
when you see power manifestation going on,
right.
and first you start doubting, when the doubts are cleared and when you become so sure, oh God, that moment, even the mirroring neuron effect happens in you. Even you get entangled with the Sadashiva space of the person who is manifesting the powers.
Yes. So for people who are not familiar with manifestation of powers, first we've discussed this is not siddhis. I just want to summarize. Second, there is a benefit in manifesting these powers to the person who's doing it, because as he manifests more and more, he can get familiar with even more Shaktis.
Yes.
And he gets
more and more entangled with the oneness.
and he gets more.
Shivoham space.
Yes.
Sadashivoham space.
So he's ultimately getting closer and closer to Sadashiva himself. The effect on the audience is to inspire them, encourage them to go check it out. So you should come here and check it out for yourself. And also, besides the intellectual checking out and emotional checking out, there is also the entanglement effect.
Spiritual entanglement.
Spiritual entanglement effect with the person who's doing this kind of performance. So therefore, it is a good idea to teach more and more people. And I just want people to know that right now Swamiji has a Gurukulam with about 100 young people who are manifesting these powers.
More than 100.
More than 100. They're going around doing these manifestations. And we are planning with Jonardhan and us foundation, we're planning that next year we'll have a group who will go to major places. 3 audiences target. One is people who follow those like me who are Hindus but very unsure of this, cynical about it. We want them to come and check it out, participate, talk to these young people and watch and see, make sure for themselves. Second is scientists. And I'm talking to the Ministry of Science and Technology to encourage them to do this sort of thing. And third is the VIPs, the people who are the powerful people who need to see this for themselves. We have had a few people visit here also. And after visiting here, watching all this for themselves, they go back very transformed. And they're never going to be thinking of anything but respect for Swamiji and what he's doing, which is what we want to achieve. So this is...
And basically, Rajivji, I am very sincere, integrated to the words of Sadashiva. That is the reason I made the whole Gurukul completely free. In 6 places Sadashiva says the Gurukul should be free. So I made it free. Now it is open. Anybody below 21 can come and reside. It's our responsibility to give you food, stay, clothes, medical care, all the basic needs and the education and make you manifest these powers.
And few days ago we had a visit from some important people in Delhi who were so impressed. They are running some big school with 2,000 people who requested Swamiji, please take our students and teach them all this stuff. And Swamiji said, you can send them here and we can teach anybody. So your offer is
it's completely free.
It is free and people from any ashram, any temple, any organization.
See what I am saying. Any kid between 7 to 14, as per Agama, only after 7 a child can be accepted into Gurukul. 7 to 21, we are free, residential, international standard Gurukul. And anybody wants to come and learn, we do have a 10-day program and 21-day programs. We will offer for all non-profit institutions freely.
Hindu.
All, yes, naturally, who else will come?
Yeah, they won't come. Yes.
Anybody else comes, if they accept and understand and revere and respect Hinduism, I am open.
Then they become Hindus. So
I am open.
Your goal is to expand this from the current capacity to thousands.
Yes.
Thousands of
and
people.
Even this Gurukul will be expanded to at least 10,000 in next few years. 2 years.
So
2 years is the goal I have. It will become 10,000 kids Gurukul in next 2 years.
This is a very important goal for everybody to support. So 10,000 young people can be trained to be leaders of society. So you'd also mention that some of these people who can do diagnostics and who can look at body scans, you would want them to go and get medical degrees, regular MD, MBBS type degrees, so they can be practicing in medicine with also special powers.
Special powers. And so authenticating, I am trying to bring spiritual legitimacy to the Sanatana Hindu Dharma.
Yes.
See, ultimately, this is the one statement I want to make. Sanatana Hindu Dharma is real.
That is what everything is about.
That is all I am trying to say. And surely if I train more and more people with manifesting powers who are also into the various fields of life like a politics, society, engineers, doctors, lawyers, judges, decision makers, naturally they will bring legitimacy to this whole science.
And Swamiji, one of the most important, powerful professions which is furthest away from the truth and spirituality, and therefore they need it the most, are these journalists and media people. They really are. They messed it up quite badly for us. So now I want to discuss futurist possibilities. Because I think we've established a foundation for what is Agama, how scientific it is, and what all projects are going on here, why they're important. When you do long distance darshan, I want to understand this because scientists will want to know. On one side is a camera, on the other side is a screen. So this person is seeing not you, but your image.
Yes.
And he's not having consciousness, he's not in your breathing space, but he's seeing your image. So I want to understand to what extent the entanglement can travel in that way.
See, actually, only first few seconds you will feel you are seeing my image, not me. The system is such, in few seconds you will not remember it is my image, you will know it's me. The moment that understanding takes over, it is no more a distance. See, actually, that understanding happens maybe in few minutes. That few minutes only they are seeing my image.
So Swamiji, there is a difference.
The moment the image is moving the hand, they just know it's happening.
Yes.
And in few minutes they forget they are in their home. They just feel they are in my presence, I am there.
So Swamiji, there's a difference between, say, a deity made of stone and the same deity image presented on the screen, because in the case of the deity made of stone, the molecules are stable, and we do pran pratishtha of those molecules.
Yes.
In the case of an image, the screen itself does not have the image. The image is just light bulbs that go on and off. So whether the light bulbs, how on or off the light bulbs are, determines whether it's a football game or whether it is Guru talking.
Yes.
So in fact, you can't do pran pratishtha on a screen image, because after watching your image, we turn it off and watch a football game, watch the news, watch whatever. So the image on that matter has changed. It is like somebody making a wax deity, then he does pran pratishtha, then he melts the wax and makes a wax of some movie star or cricket player, and then he next day makes a wax again of Shiva. He cannot say that this is the same murti, because the pran pratishtha has been destroyed.
Yes. What I am saying, here the entanglement happens more between the person's core consciousness and me. The moment he decides he is seeing me, that is enough. Even if he does not see me, his decision is powerful enough for me to entangle with that person.
So can we say that inside the person is already the software of Sadashiva, but it has not been opened with a password. So it exists, and when he sees the manifestation, whether it is through image, TV, whatever, something wakes up, triggers opening.
Yes, yes.
And once it is opened,
then the Shaktini Pada starts.
so then it means that the Shaktini Pada is not limited to the physics of time and space.
Surely, Shaktini Path is not limited to the physics of time space.
Yes.
Even the two-way video conferencing screen is just to trigger that first few minutes. They need to be triggered, that software need to open up. Just for that only, the two-way video conferencing screen. After that few minutes, you may not even need that screen. The entanglement has started happening.
So the entanglement and the transmission of Shakti and the whole spiritual science is not subordinate to the physics.
Sure.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Because it transcends.
Surely much beyond physics. And still physics is not able to catch up with us.
Yes.
They need to take a lot of time.
So this is an important insight for me. So when people want to ask, can a machine transmit Shakti? Because you are transmitting, it goes not only from the camera to the screen, but in between the internet goes through many countries. And there are these internet centers where there's human beings and their thoughts are being entangled. They may be polluting, contaminating along the way. So how is it possible when somebody's transmission begins here, it ends there, it goes through so many pollutants, so many places?
I should say, maybe that person's eyes, till that few minutes, the entanglement starts only, all these machines are required. Moment connection happens, all these are not required, it is direct.
Yeah.
From space to space.
Yeah. So one principle of physics we brought in is entanglement. Another physics principle is something called space-time tunneling, action at a distance, which is the physics is now discovering with matter also that there are certain cause effects that seem to violate the limits of space-time. But it is still very rudimentary, and our science is way ahead of that.
Way ahead, I tell you. This whole physics is the length level physics.
Yes.
Agama is breadth and depth level physics.
And that's a profound concept we learned. And for those of you who are not here, I have to apologize. You have to come here and learn it. You can't learn it in 2 minutes. The different, the 11 dimensions that Swamiji talked us about. There's 11 dimensions.
It's from Agama.
It's from Agama. And before that, we learned the 25 states of consciousness. So all of these are high-flown science, and people should come and sign up and spend the time, and that is the only way they can learn. So it means that the entanglement from human to machine, and then at the other end, machine to human, it is just a suggestion. But really it is human to human. The machine is just a facilitator, kind of auto-suggestion.
For example, for the person to believe that he is connecting, machine is a placebo, person to person is the real.
This is very important. Machine is a placebo to trigger.
Yes, trigger.
Like the password goes in and it activates the whole thing.
All.
But it was always sitting there.
Yes.
So when the person wakes up, he also says, oh, this was always there, I didn't know it.
Machine is only a password, not the software.
Yes.
Person to person is the software.
Is the actual entanglement, yes. So Swamiji, how is it that there are places where they say there was a very, very enlightened being, he's gone, but this is a samadhi, and the effect is still there. So how does it outlast the life of the person in the body?
The biomemory and the muscle memory we have. For example, for 100 years, these muscles were continuously the channel for the higher consciousness and energy. This biomemory for 100 years functioned out of deep love and compassion and sharing. Even after the bioenergy stops using this muscle memory and biomemory, the quality of the muscle memory and biomemory does not get destroyed. So that continues to stay in that space, and when a disciple is initiated with the bioenergy of the master when he is in the body, his bioenergy gives life to this biomemory and muscle memory, which is just sitting in samadhi. So when he comes, he gets the same effect which he got when the master was alive.
Very interesting. So Swamiji, this science is so deep, complex, profound, and provable. This is why I don't like this term, generic New Age term that people are using of, I'm spiritual but not religious. They're spiritual but not religious, but they don't have a grounding in the science.
What I am saying,
they don't have the scientific.
I am spiritual, not religious, can be made, the statement can be made
Anybody.
if you are not a Hindu. If you are a Hindu, the statement does not make sense, because in Hinduism, every religious is spiritual.
Yes, yes. So
I wanted to make this statement very clearly. There is no cultural frills in Hinduism.
Yes.
I throw open challenge.
Yes.
Anybody can come. I am ready for a debate. Tell me, show me something as a cultural frill in Hinduism. I'll prove there is no cultural frill in Hinduism. Everything is a spiritual culture.
Yes. Very true.
It's a spiritual culture. If you don't know why the culturing is done, the context, at least move out, step aside with a polite respect. Do not hurt us by using the word cultural frill on us.
Yes. Yeah. This is very true, because what's happening is some people enter a space which is not genuine Hinduism because they do not accept these scientific principles, but the talk is such that it looks like it must be saying the same thing, and this deceives and misleads a lot of people, because they're doing very sophisticated marketing. They're doing very sophisticated marketing in the name of spirituality and so on, but it is not Agama rooted, it is not rooted on Shastras, and therefore it is more sort of political correct spirituality kind of a thing. And there's a big fashion of that kind.
Political correctness does not make them authentic or adhikaratva. That is why I insist to everyone, whether you go to an astrologer, gemologist, the numerologist, Vastu consultant, yoga guru, or even a temple, find out before, is the Shastra Pramana backing it.
That is true.
Do not go and worship any god, deity, anything which has no reference in Agamas.
So Swamiji, here my conjecture is that a lot of new modern temples are being built which are not on agamas.
Yes.
I know that in my neighborhood they just built some temple somewhere. Some guys, they bought a church and just turned it into something with some minor cosmetics.
Those should be called as a worship centers, not temples. See, in Hindu tradition, temple can be used as an education center, worship altar, social gathering place, all that. But the important thing is it's a place where God resides, lives. That is why it cannot be demolished. It cannot be changed. You can't shift a Hindu temple.
Yeah, a mosque is not a place where there is a divinity. They don't want you to worship a mosque. It's a place where people get together and point at the Kaaba. There is no spirituality possible in matter.
In
Islam.
Hindu tradition, in Agama, it's very, very clear. God resides in the temple.
So, Swami, this means that when
Temple cannot be demolished, cannot be relocated, cannot be bulldozed. Once installed, it is installed.
So, Swamiji, the deity being a person, divine person,
Yes.
when I give a donation or contribution or some kind of thing to the deity,
That is owned by
that
deity.
is, so deity should be respected by law
As a being.
as somebody who has assets.
Yes.
So the land belonging to the deity, they cannot sell it off.
Yes, they cannot touch.
They cannot touch. So this is a major problem in this secular government because large amount of temple lands where people gave to the deity, the old kings, whatever they all gave these lands to the deity, the secular government, in the interest of separating all this stuff and controlling temples, they've been selling off temple lands.
That is not right.
That is actually should be considered illegal.
Yes. You see, either they should respect the concept and the context with which temples are built and donations are given.
Yes.
They should respect that whole context and operate. Because that should be the operating methodology.
Yes. So Swamiji, even if
For
somebody
example, when this deity was installed, what is the context? And based on that context only, I gave donation.
yes.
So these two should be legitimately respected and revered.
Yes. So Swamiji, even those who in the law, they have a concept of a trust. So nothing to even do with spirituality. If somebody says I made a trust for some purpose, all the money given to the trust, the law respects belongs to the trust.
Yes.
It cannot be taken away.
Yes.
Even though it may not be considered a person, but
Yes.
it is an entity.
Yes.
So at least from that point of view, all the wealth given over thousands of years to deities,
Yes.
the deity is at least a trust.
Yes. Yes.
At least it is an entity to which people have given the money.
Yes.
It is no right of some government or some other local people to take it away and sell
Yes.
it off.
Nobody
so
has
this
right.
should be actually prosecuted in the Supreme Court as a very fundamental violation
Right.
of Hinduism. Very fundamental. This should be.
Yes.
So my next question, Swamiji, has to do with futurist body. Because for 5,000 years, Hindu body has been the same.
Yes.
Indian body, I mean, the human body. Since beginning of time as we remember it, we have two eyes, we have two, whatever, our physical metabolism is same. Agamas are based on human body because it says right hand.
Yes,
It
yes,
does not
yes,
expect me to have four hands.
Yes.
So, and the kind of food, it knows my metabolism. For the first time, science is now able to tamper and intervene with bodies. Like we make genetically modified food. So there's a tomato which lasts longer and grows better and whatnot, looks nice, but it has got one gene from a pig added, so it becomes resistant. So science is actually coming up with hybrid creatures where one jiva and another jiva are mixed up to make a new kind of jiva which was not there in nature. So with stem cells, scientists might be able to help somebody grow a new organ. So your liver is destroyed, you grow a new liver. I know an organ transplant I want to discuss also. I knew one person, she had 3 kidneys. They transplanted an extra one because one of the others was damaged. And liver got destroyed, so they put in a new liver. So we have 2 kinds of interventions. One is somebody's organ is transplanted, and I want to know whether the biomemory or muscle memory of that person has come in. That is one question. Second question is, with stem cell, now we are able to grow more organs, which raises some issues also. That what happens if somebody's organ is destroyed, he grows a new organ, and then they are talking about human beings who may be organ farms. So they may go to a poor country and say, okay, now you just keep growing new kidneys and we'll harvest them for sale, and you get some money, it's not costing you anything, and so you just become like a tree grows mangoes, you grow kidneys, or somebody grows eyes, or whatever. This raises a lot of ethics issues also, and scientific issues. What happens to such people, and what do you feel about this kind of intervention of science in the structure of the human body?
You see, for this whole, I should look at from the context of what Sadashiva says. See, when he declares, let me become many to celebrate myself. That's a basic context with which the universe expands. That's a basic context of Sadashiva. So the basic law, the first principle, foremost commandment of Sadashiva is coexistence. Coexistence with the love, with the life, with the joy, with compassion, with the sharing. Based on that law of coexistence, non-violence, anything done, I should say it is approved by Sadashiva. Wherever that gets disturbed, then we should go all out to stop that. So I can only come back to the original principle, first principle for solution. How it is adopted, knowing that we can make the individual decisions more strategic decisions. But the basic strategy should be, let's coexist. Let our coexistence be joyful and blissful. If somebody is ready to grow the organ out of love, compassion, and the spirit of coexistence, I may welcome. I may not even say something is wrong.
But it could lead to exploitation. Some poor people being used.
So that exploitation part need to be managed. That is where we need to bring our awareness, legal enforcement, all that. So it's a point where we need to see the situation and develop a strategy.
And I think, Swamiji, in the next generation, next 20-25 years, we'll need spiritual masters who are able to pass judgment.
Constant.
And on each case, because
case.
there is no general rule.
Yes, we can't make a general rule. By case studying and passing the exact, precise truth and context as per Sadashiva.
And Swamiji, the laws in many of these countries are now open to religious input. So the sad thing is there is no Hindu input as assertive. Christians have set up all these think tanks, Jews have, to figure out what the policy should be from their point of view.
It is time for us to do the
We have to do a policy
job.
because this job is happening very fast. So for instance, what happens if somebody says, I'll grow an extra organ and put it on Amazon for sale, and you can buy it and download and we'll sell it to you on whatever. So the argument is that if the seller wants to sell, the buyer needs the organ, why are you interfering? So there is this kind of a thing going on. Does organ have rights? And is there such a thing as an artificial organ that somebody has grown which is sold like potatoes and mangoes? Or is there something wrong about growing this in the first place? And what about the transfer of karmic imprint in an organ that, let's say somebody takes over my kidney because I'm dead and I sign off, and then it goes to somebody. On the one hand, it helps someone live. That's good. On the other hand, they're taking over my karmic memory without knowing it.
See, when it comes to giving life,
Yes.
the small karmic thing is okay to be tolerated.
Right.
So even from my view, I will bring only non-violence and coexistence as the only principle to measure and judge in any of these situations other than anything else.
So Swamiji, another question comes, let's say they're able to implant something in the eye and give you vision which is telescopic, microscopic, night vision. You know, they can implant lens nowadays, so they can implant electronic lens, maybe with wireless connection, and you can watch CNN without even turning on the TV. It may happen. We just put some lenses. So when these things happen, we may become like superhuman because there may be people who can, whose muscles can run very fast and they don't need to, you know, there may be all kind of things happening. There may be a different source of energy inside the body planted that lasts you for 100 years and keeps giving you some energy. So these bionic human beings, is there an ethics for them, against them? Is this part of human evolution? Or is it some kind of a tampering that we should worry about?
I should say, as long as they do not limit or stop, interfere in the conscious evolution of births and deaths and completion and liberation, all these are welcome. But if they are trying to interfere in the completion and liberation, the highest truth of moksha, then this should not be part of our life.
A misuse would be where somebody is able to control the person's thoughts. He's planted some chip and now he can control their thoughts. So then the ISIS can create a big army. ISIS can create an army that can just kidnap some young kids and manipulate, brainwash them.
So those dangers should be attended very carefully.
Yeah. So this will increase the need for spiritual adhikaris.
Yes.
To be sitting there like judge almost, saying, okay, this one good, this one don't good, because average person cannot be given all the rules of agama. The person has to take every case.
And you see, it's like agama's constitution structure exists.
Right.
So every situation need to be taken from that constitution structure. It has to be handled.
Yes. Yes. So now one of the things I wanted to ask is about collective evolution. Sri Aurobindo, his signature idea was that while everybody is talking about, you know, moksha, stopping there, why stop there? He felt that those who achieved a certain state, as per the conventional idea of Advaita Vedanta, then need to have an evolution of beyond that, and he predicted that there will be a collective evolution of humanity. So a critical mass of human beings will evolve to a super conscious state. They'll become, their bodies will change, their brains will change, and then this will become like a species looking at humans the way humans look at monkeys. In other words, they will have some powers, such powers that we ordinary human beings will look like another species. So what do you think of that?
What he says is right. Only thing I wanted to tell, moksha is not withdrawal as the Neo-Vedantis describe.
Right.
Actually, pratyahara is withdrawal. That is only a technique for some limited time. When the real living enlightenment happens and Sadashivatva happens, it only manifests. It is not withdrawal. So what Aurobindo says, I accept and agree 100%. Maybe all the things I am doing, helping people manifest so many powers and states and experiences of Sadashivatva, all these also are the effort in evolving more and more, higher and higher, conscious, evolved new species called Sadashivas.
Yes. So what about the use of biotechnology to accelerate that? Is that good?
I should say, as long as they are not violent, and as long as they do not interfere. See, when you teach certain truths to the person, he develops very subtle grooves in the brain to experience that. These bio-interference should not be disturbing those grooves and those sensitive conscious awakenings, then I am okay with it. As long as they do not teach violence, they do not interfere with this conscious evolution, I'll be very happy with it. Because just like using the spectacles and using this mic, this does no way stops us being more agamic or being more Sadashivatva.
Yes.
So because they don't stop, I'm ready to use. Anything which does not stop manifesting Sadashivatva, I'm ready to accept. I call them modernization. But I'm not interested in anything which stops it to allow us part. You see, like for example, I am ready to have this microphone. I am ready to have the camera. All this does not stop my Sadashivatva, but I am not interested in McDonald's. I am not interested in Pizza Hut, because that is stopping my Sadashivatva.
Yes, yes, yes.
That food is not letting me to develop my higher conscious energy. So
Swamiji,
whatever is not interfering, I welcome.
So one of the cases of an example I want to bring to you for your evaluation, because it's happening a lot, and non-Hindu religious leaders have given a lot of opinions in the courts in US, but no Hindu has really come forth, is this situation where, you know, people are now living longer and longer, but they're not necessarily happier and happier, and some of them end up like vegetables. So at what stage should it be allowed that the person should say, I'm terminally ill, they've given me so many weeks to live, I'm in intense pain, I would like to put myself to death. Not a suicide in the normal sense, but somebody who is, now there is this law coming, and they're debating this from a religious point of view with no Hindu input. The law says that if the person has been certified by so many different doctors that he's ill, and terminally ill, he's got intense pain, there is zero chance of him living, and he himself says, rather than going through pain and death, I just want to go to death. The alternative is that we just keep him like a zombie until he dies, but it's not a happy life. We just keep him alive just to be compliant with the law. So sometimes the family also feel that this is his wish. He also puts it, there's something called, you know, living will and all that. You can put all this stuff and say, under these circumstances, you can put me to death. So what is the Hindu view on a person reaching a state where he wants to voluntarily die just to save pain?
I should say, at least 6-7 references. I was also thinking and analyzing and collecting references from the scriptures. At least 6-7 references supports only extension of life. There are 2 references I can say. Very clearly says, all the new knowledge we acquire also should be directed towards the extension of life. So this makes it very clear, without any ambiguous, without any dilemma, that we should be supporting life. How we apply? Now we will have to bring it from situation to situation and pass the detailed understanding. Basically, if you ask me the first opinion, from all my research and my understanding, I will only say, let us evolve a system. All our best available knowledge, resources, everything is put to support life.
But what if it's at the cost of pain? The guy is alive, but he'll be paining. He won't be walking, he won't be happy. A miserable life. So he says, I'm better off dead.
If we can do something to help the person to even be out of pain, if we can put some resources and energy and understanding in that line, that will be more, that is what will be my view as on now at least.
Yeah, no, that is good. So Swamiji, my next point is a very big provocation and challenge to neuroscientists. I'm making this to neuroscientists, and I want your thoughts on this. I believe that using the evidence of modern science without any spirituality being brought in, I can prove that rishis existed, which is a very daunting claim, because this is a spiritual claim, but I'm not using a spiritual reference. And here is my proof, and I want the neuroscientists to give me an answer if they want to. Neuroscientists have concluded that more than 95% of our brain we don't use. This is neuroscience. That we're using only small percent of the brain, the rest of it is dark. But under yogic meditation, higher states of consciousness, those people are able to light up more and more part of the brain. The more advanced their consciousness, the more part of that 95% gets woken up. This they are able to do. They have not connected it, they have not connected the dots to say that the other 95% must have been used at one point for it to exist. Because evolutionary biology says that if this creature was in the water, and then it is in the water, but it has arms and legs to walk on land. Once upon a time, it did walk on land. If this creature not able to fly but has wings, at one time it was flying, because evolutionary biology, with no reference to spirituality, says that beings create functionality to survive and to live. They develop what they need. Nothing develops which is not needed.
Yes.
So using their own logic, there must have been beings who used the other 95% at one time, otherwise it could not have existed, and those 95% gets woken in higher states of consciousness. So such beings existed, and we just call them rishis. So this is a proof I offer to the neuroscientists that rishis did exist. So for this I coined the term archaeology of the brain. The archaeologist digs up under the ground and he finds something and he dates it, and then he says people did exist who used it. So if they find some very advanced city, then they'll say that there must have been people who used it, otherwise it could not have existed. So if we consider this 95% unused brain today as a discovery called the archaeology of the brain, and we apply the same logic as archaeologists apply, then it would be it would be impossible for them to deny that such rishis have existed.
Yes.
But the strange thing is, if they were to accept this logic, they validate Hinduism, and they invalidate the whole chronology of history which the West has been based on, from this Adam, Eve, and this fall and all that, and how things are only getting better and better. This one-directional advancement, no possibility that things were much better at one time and they decline. So this Hindu idea gets legitimized if you take their own discoveries and claims and interpret them going backward. Whereas what the neuroscientists want to do with this discovery is present it as a future possibility. But this must have existed at one time. So what is your thought on this?
See, one thing, in this line, already I started working, and I am also successful with few cases. Like, if somebody is from Bharadwaja Gotra, awakening that whole Bharadwaja's revelations in their brain and making them recite without they individually study. Like a kid from the Bharadwaja Gotra can recite the whole revelations of Bharadwaja without physically studying ever in his life.
So some memory exists.
So this will establish the authenticity of what you are claiming. Maybe I will have to bring more and more specimens.
Yes, yes.
And present it to the world.
Yes.
Which we are already successful in few, which we will be bringing more. Once we bring more, then I can very strongly, clearly declare what you are saying is true.
Because this would be a revolution. A revolution backed by neuroscience.
And I am telling you, from my experience as Atma Pramana, I know it is true. I just need a few more specimens and evidences to put it as Sakshi Pramana for people.
So Swamiji,
see, last 2 years, whatever I was claiming as my Atma Pramana, only it took few more months for me to put it as Sakshi Pramana in front of people. Whether it is third eye, then remote vision, every power, manifestation. Now, with the same integrity I am claiming, in next few months, I will put specimens to do this job.
Fantastic.
To prove this truth.
This is amazing. This is amazing. I know you will do it. I know that this will happen. Because this is a big thing for us. So Swamiji, I want to talk a little bit about questions people have of karma and reincarnation. So most religions have what they call a theory of suffering. So in Judaism, God gave them commandments, they disobeyed, so they're suffering. So they went into slavery and all kind of things happened because God chose them as special people and gave them commands, but they disobeyed, they suffered. So there's a theory of suffering. In Christianity, Adam and Eve did some original sin, and everybody is suffering. All their progeny were condemned to forever. And then Jesus Christ came and said, okay, I'll suffer on your behalf. So as long as you believe in me, you will not suffer. So the reason there is suffering is because people have not accepted Jesus. So if everybody accepted Jesus, suffering will end. So this is their theory of suffering. So like that, and Muslims have their theory of suffering. You suffer here and you get reward later with 72 virgins or whatever. So what is the Hindu, now the Buddhists have a theory of suffering that you are suffering, the dukkha, they call dukkha. You have dukkha because of grasping, because you are attached, because to things that don't exist. Non-existent things you think they exist, you objectify them, and that causes your suffering. So in the case of Hinduism, if somebody said that suffering is because of past karma, then the question comes, why would animals suffer if they don't have karma? Why would there be we can say, okay, there's a tsunami that killed thousands of people because maybe all those thousand, because of past karma, it was the right thing, and tsunami is the method, is just a means to kill them. Or a plane crash kills 200 people because all of them, death was owed to them, the phalla was owed to them. But why is there suffering among non-humans who we don't think have committed karma?
See, let me define karma as per Agama,
Okay.
Sadashiva's view.
Okay.
Forgetting the context of why we chose what we chose is suffering.
Okay, yes.
I am Sadashiva. Let me become many to celebrate me. The moment I forget this after I became many, instead of celebrating, I bring suffering. Anybody who gets back to this original principle are liberated.
Okay.
Who misses this principle, because they do not know the context, they do not know the context why they attracted this person in their life, why they manifested this situation in their life. The moment they know, if they feel bad with that person, they will know at least how to get rid. If they feel good with that person, they know how to keep him. If they see the knowledge, immediately liberates. We have voted for our life as it is occurring for us. If we forget why we voted for this, that forgetfulness makes us think in a limited, wrong way. For example, I only would have decided we will have this interview. When I decided, I may be having the clarity, this will be me becoming many and celebrating me. But now, if I forget that context, then this can be, oh, am I doing right? Things are going right. So all this creeps in only if I forget the context with which I decided this. Forgetting the context is the source of suffering. Not attachment or not anything else. Forgetting the context why you voted for what you voted. And I might have voted for this interview for certain purpose. And the other 2-3 side effects might have been a blind spot for me. Even if I know the context why I voted, I will have the enough capacity and energy not to be hurt by the blind spot.
Very good.
Reactions and responses.
But this applies to human beings.
Yes.
What about animals?
See, now what I am saying, even in animals, we can't say they have not done something bad. They are bad and they are suffering bad is not in their will. For example, tiger eats deer. It is its life.
He can't eat grass.
He can't eat grass. So, he is forced to do bad and he is forced to suffer the bad. Because he does not have a will, in both it is not suffering.
So,
Suffering can be called as suffering if you are having the freedom in generation of the karma and the experience of the karma.
So
Here,
if a snake swallows a small mouse, it's a very painful death for the mouse. He's going to be swallowed alive.
yes.
And nature is full of natural violence.
Yes.
Natural violence. I
Yes.
mean, there's a volcano and million
And the
things
same
like-
way the snake is going to be killed by some other animal.
Yeah.
So I should say, neither the snake swallowing the frog nor some other animal swallowing the snake has any freedom for the snake. So we should call the karma of the human beings a different word.
Right.
Karma of the animals different word. We should classify this very clearly. Karma where the individual will as a role. Karma where the individual will does not have a role. It is only a
Very
clear
interesting.
programmed instinct.
Very interesting. Yes.
The programmed instinct based action bringing programmed instinct based result cannot be interpreted with the individual will's action and individual will's results cycle. We are looking at that space from this space. In this space, we do have karma, pain, suffering, everything because our will is a partner. There, the will is not the partner. The three plane where will is the partner, suffering happens, what we call it as suffering. Happens, generated. Same way, will is a partner where good and bad are generated, enjoyed, generated. There's another one space where only good things happen. There also there is no will. Only good thing is generated as a programmed instinct in Devaloka.
So Swami, if somebody is ill because of his past karma, he's fallen ill, or he's got something wrong happening to his life, he's very unhappy, and you intervene and you solve the problem. Are you hacking the karma system? In other words,
I should say, whenever somebody is liberated,
yes,
the gray area is freedom. For example, let me be very straight.
right.
A lawyer who masters the law of the land knows the gray area. Now the gray area is his freedom.
So he's using the system. He is within the system.
Same way, when you master the karmic law,
This is very
the
interesting.
gray area becomes your freedom.
So what you are saying is that what people think of as miracles, you are doing within the system,
Yes.
using capabilities and features which ordinary people don't know.
Yes.
And-
And my only ethics is I should always support life.
Yes.
As long as I support life, the gray area freedom is expanded for me.
Very good. So actually,
So,
within the karma system,
Within the karma cycle,
more latitude available to the better lawyer.
yes.
The better lawyer says, okay, I know this clause.
Yes.
Most of
See,
you
the
guys
better
know-
lawyer means, in the karma system, the better lawyer means man who is always votes for life.
Yes. Yes.
Who always votes for life, who is always very keen and passionate about larger number of lives, larger good of the humanity.
So better physicist knows more physics and he can come up with an invention which the rest of us cannot come up with.
Yes. So, all my healing, all my miracles are playing in the gray area.
So this is all within the
Playing
agama.
in the gray area, freedom.
So actually this is also within causation.
Yes.
Because if I do this, you can heal. And you're
Yes.
teaching others to heal.
Yes.
Which is also a very
Yes.
interesting thing that
Yes.
you actually teach others
Yes.
to do all the things you do. Whereas traditionally you hear of people who can do a miracle but they cannot teach it or even explain it.
So I should say, I got it very systematically from my gurus.
Yes.
My only responsibility is to make them all alive, that they are not dead when I am gone. When I am gone, I don't want all this to be gone along with me. Whatever I am doing, I neither have a marketing strategy nor have a missionary zeal. All I have is my tremendous gratitude and integrity to my Guru Parampara,
Yes.
my Guru Sampradaya. What they did to me, I know they have done something amazing to me. And I am here to reproduce that on whoever is willing.
And people then have to continue it further.
That's all.
That is very good. That is very good.
That's all is the only zeal I have.
Yeah.
My gratitude and integrity to my gurus.
So Swamiji, some Tibetan Buddhist Rinpoches, when I interviewed them and asked when Dalai Lama dies, leaves the body, he's reincarnated, you have a system to find out where he's born. And they'll knock at the door and say, this young boy is Dalai Lama, and then he becomes the next Dalai Lama. So this is how the system works, not only for Dalai Lama, but also for other senior lamas.
Yes.
So I asked them, how is the technology possible? And they said it's something, they didn't use this term entanglement, but there's some kind of a meditative entanglement of a group of people who are around the Dalai Lama. So before he dies, they get entangled with him, and he is able to transmit to them where he's going to be born, and then they go find him. Is there something like that possible within Hinduism where
Agama
senior
elaborately describes this system.
Okay.
And one thing I want to tell, I worked with this system and I am 100% found to be true.
So we can find a person in his next
Yes,
life?
yes. And that is one. Second, this whole system need to be revived in Hindu tradition also, which I am going to be doing.
Okay, I will now propose a very provocative business strategy. We can do business like a smart lawyer can do smart lawyering. We can do business smart.
Yes.
This is a proposal which, according to Agama, once you revived this particular technique, should be available only to the Agama people, and it will create so much wealth. And the proposal is as follows. Some of you who are into venture capital and investment banking and so on, this will make you the richest man in the world, what I'm now going to tell you. If you go to Bill Gates, his biggest problem, you tell him, is that when you are dead, your wealth is useless for you in the next life, unless we can find you and transfer that wealth. So the proposal is, we go to Bill Gates and say, you got 100 billion, and you are giving philanthropy, this, that, because charity will get you to heaven and whatnot, that is your tradition. Out of the 100 billion, you give 50 billion to us in trust to be given to you in your next life when we find you. Because it is possible you may be born very poor. Bill Gates may be born very poor, and Warren Buffett may be born in some African village, is very poor guy. Because, you know, the karma people, the people in the sky who are the admin for karma might say, okay, you had one good life, now you have to be poor also. So if we can, within the rules of the Agama, locate where Bill Gates is next time and give him at least 5-10 billion, he'll be much happier. So to do that, we form a trust management company. Normally, trust is formed to transfer your wealth to your biological offspring and all that. And these banks take a lot of commission and they pass it on to your kids and whatnot. So this will be the world's first inter-life reincarnation trust management. Okay.
I think if we do little more research and establish the authority,
we can do that.
it is possible.
Yeah. So
Sure.
So right now, $40 trillion is owned by the world's richest 1% people. $40 trillion, which means when they're dead, it's gone kaput. They don't know if their kids are any good, not good. Some of it is taken by government here, there, whatever. So if we could get $1 trillion out of these 40, put into our trusteeship, where we will form these Agama groups. We will take the Gurukul kids and teach them as another manifestation. Warren Buffett will get 10 people meditating around him to keep track, entanglement, his being. And then like the
Actually, Agama even gives the methodology to bring back where you want.
Yeah, and so
We can be clearly guiding and bring back wherever we want.
So there'll be 2 levels of fee structure. One fee structure, you know, we take 25% of what he's put in trust is our fee. And what we do is, we got a GPS on his Jiva Atma. And these kids from the Gurukul will be entangled with Warren Buffett. Another 10 will be with Bill Gates, like that with all these people. Another, maybe we'll need 50 for Mukesh Ambani, because he needs more help, you know, more help. So each of these group will follow the Jivatma GPS, and where he's born, they'll go there and give him his money and say, we are authorized, we have qualified, this is how it works, and 25% is ours. If the guy wants to be born in a particular place of his choice, then the fee is 50%. Yeah. So this way we become the richest community. The Hindus with Agama become the richest technology, and rather than anybody supporting us, we will be actually the people supporting the whole world, richest people. This could be happening. So maybe it'll take 5 years, 10 years. This is the world's most powerful R&D center. I feel that Swamiji is the most powerful cutting edge research R&D person. Yeah. So I just want to, since we're
Actually, when we work in that level,
yeah,
this money does not make big sense.
yeah,
It should be more, I feel, even now, the way I am working, I am looking at things of more and more people participate.
so we can have a way that we bring more people into this in the next life.
That's right.
There are different applications. So there's maybe for those who want money, for those who want whatever, we can provide different applications. So now what I wanted to say is also that much of what we've talked about in Christianity, this is considered to be very satanic. We are satanic people according to much of Christianity. Because even, according to them in the book of Revelation, Satan will send people to delude everybody and claim they can heal and they claim they have all these scientific things, but don't believe it because it's satanic. So the Christians are this is one reason why Hindu gurus are persecuted, because they're reminded of that which was banned by Christianity. Hindu gurus have a lot of symbols. Even the Trishul, I don't know if you know this, Trishul is a symbol of the devil.
Yeah, trident.
Trident is a symbol of the devil in Christianity. So a lot of...
and the tail.
Tail and all
Tail.
that. And this snake, very, violent, whatever kind of thing. So our symbolism and our, procedures and processes face this persecution. And we have to be very confident and strong that this is going to happen, but it should not bother you. You should be able to give a good answer back. And this takes me to another point, and that is, one of the books I'm writing is a study of major gurus. What happened to them? So I have looked at Maharishi, Osho, Vivekananda, Aurobindo, Muktanand, Lakshmanju, Prabhupada, Yoga, Paramahamsa Yoganand, and many others. And it seems that somewhere along the way, either during their life they got attacked quite a lot, or their followers betrayed them. And so somehow we lost the parampara. We lost the parampara. To give you an example, Maharishi, as you know, you mentioned also, he had 3 Indian followers. And this is not just Westerners doing this, Indian followers. One was Deepak Chopra. So he's just gone off on his own because he got some technology and he figured I can make more money myself by dumping all this stuff about Agama and becoming more sort of clean and universal sameness and all that. Another was Sri Ravi Shankar. He was a very close student and disciple of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he's continued his own movement. And another was Rishi Prabhakar, who was quite authentic to Maharishi. And one of his students was Jaggi Vasudev. Is that true? That is, you can look up online, that is true. So Jaggi Vasudev's guru's guru was Maharishi. But Jaggi Vasudev says that he has nothing to do with Shastra and he has nothing to do with Parampara. He just discovered all this on his own. So we find this kind of thing happen to Osho, unfortunately, because after he died, some Western people who were his devotees were the Osho trustees, and they've turned the Osho Trust into like a resort, spiritual resort and that kind of Club Med type of establishment. Vivekananda, unfortunately, in the last 100 some years, the Ramakrishna mission which he started did not produce another Vivekananda. They have not been able to replicate Sadashiva or whatever they want to call Sri Ramakrishna. They have not been able to produce another one, which is sort of very strange. Then you look at Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo was very Vedic, but after he died, the mother took over, and with all due respects to her, the point is that they have moved off in another direction. Auroville, which is supposed to be the manifestation of what Sri Aurobindo wanted, is a place where they have drinking and non-veg and all that is considered okay. They celebrate Christmas, but they do not celebrate Diwali. It is very strange. So I feel that something goes wrong, generally, it becomes a one generation thing, enlightened being. Then Swami Muktanand, the great Swami in the Shaktipat tradition, 20 years after he's dead, some Western disciples of his put up a case saying that he abused this and that person 20 years after he's dead. So then his Sangha also breaks up, their brother, sister, then they have fight with each other. And then there's Lakshmanju from the tradition of Abhinav Gupta, Kashmir Shaivism. When he dies, a man called John Hughes in Los Angeles suddenly pops up and he has hundreds of boxes of Lakshman Jews, all his records, all the old archives, original manuscripts, and he lived with Lakshman Jew during this whole, there was a lot of violence in Kashmir in those days. He spent many years living there, and when Lakshman Jew died, he packed up all this stuff and shipped it to Los Angeles, and he claims that this belongs to him. So then you go on with the fights going on over Prabhupada in the ISKCON, and Paramahamsa Yogananda also. So I could go on. But that will become, the details I'll bring in my book. My question is that why is it that so many great masters come and they are a one-off? They come one-off and then it's gone. I mean, it's very difficult. What is the secret that we can learn from these people's mistake? So we don't make, because it's so important for us to have a parampara. So what should be different so that the same thing doesn't happen?
See, what I feel should be different is, when I am young, I have started building my parampara.
And you have a good group of ashram people,
Parampara.
very solid people.
See, the parampara cannot be kept for old age. Unfortunately, just like the rich people, how their whole, when they are young, they are too busy in accumulating wealth. Only when they are old, when they are about to leave, they even think of how to train their kids to carry on the legacy. The legacy part, training enough people to carry on, is always considered as the problem of later life.
Yes.
That is one of the biggest blind spot. In my case, even though I am going to live quite a long, many years,
Very good.
and I am young. I am young now.
Yes.
I am only 39.
Yes.
I am going to be living for many more years. But already I started building the parampara. I tell you, 80% of my time and energy I put for parampara, only 20% to build the present Sangha.
Because when you are doing
I strongly
transmission,
believe.
yeah.
What Arunagiri Yogeshwara, my gurus, did to me, they did not build an organization and give me. They made me to decorate the throne. Thrones followed me.
Very interesting.
I will create human beings who will decorate thrones. Thrones will follow them. Unfortunately, many gurus were busy in creating thrones. When they are young, they create thrones. When they are old, they plan for the people who will decorate the thrones. That never is a successful strategy. That is where the blind spot is.
So those who have even a few Shaktis, most of them are not teaching others to have the Shaktis.
I am very clear. See, in anything, either you build thrones first, then think of creating people to occupy the throne, or you build people who will grace the thrones, then they build the thrones. In any system, there will be plus minus. There will be right, wrong. But I tell you, many analyzing after different sampradayas, rise and fall, success and failures and everything, I am very clear. First, I am going to build the people who grace thrones like how it was done to me. Then thrones follow.
And this is, unfortunately, none of the examples I gave put much emphasis on that.
On that. I feel that is what is the blind spot.
And I must say,
80% of my time and energy I am spending only building the next parampara, the parampara, sampradaya.
and Swamiji, this is where I must say that the inner circle of people in the Sangha, the ashram, those who are the mahants and so on, are exceedingly impressive people. Because I go and live, I've lived and with so many swamis, so many gurus, done so much process with different ones. I've never seen such a deeply devoted, linked, connected. This is a good sign for the level of your teaching and transmission. That these people can come.
Even if I build only 10 square feet, I build in stone and plan, let it be there for thousands of years.
So it could be that these other people, while gurus in many ways, did not see a very long-term perspective.
Actually, they themselves may not have had larger vision.
So that requires to think of, okay, I'm going to build a 1,000-year
I'm not going to
parampara.
name anyone or blame anyone.
Yeah.
That I will not do. But sometimes I feel even some of the gurus did not have the longer vision of who will carry the legacy.
And that requires being somebody at a state of consciousness who can see beyond the body, beyond many, many lives, previous, future. And that kind of person then builds the parampara.
I should say, it is more of a gratitude to your Guru and Guru Parampara makes you, pushes you to keep that Parampara alive as an integrity to your Guru. In my case, I have overflowing gratitude to my Guru. I neither have incompletion nor I am going to hide my Gurus and their contributions to me. It is all already out, up, open, and it will be documented, recorded, worshipped, revered, respected continuously. So I am from a sampradaya and I will keep that sampradaya alive.
Very good.
I am very clear.
Yeah. And Swamiji, also I'm very impressed that every time you keep repeating that all this Agama stuff, you are saying there's nothing original I've done. I'm basically reviving, rediscovering,
That's all.
validating and continuing.
And sharing it with people.
And sharing it with people. This is simultaneously very humbling and very great. This is a good quality, very unique quality.
I am very clear. The whole thing, I should say in one line, whatever has been done to me by my Gurus, I am here to do to the people who come to me. That's all.
So Swamiji, when we discuss all these things about Hindu Dharma,
In that way, I can give an assurance to all my disciples and followers that I will not compromise on my integrity for any reward, award, peace prize, these, that, nothing. I will be integrated to my Guru and my disciples, keeping the spiritual adhikaratva. I will not sell my disciple numbers or the people sitting in front of me for any award, reward and compromise.
very good,
I am very clear.
very good.
This time I am very clear. I will be sticking to spiritual adhikaratva
This is very good.
and no compromise for any award, reward, any nothing. Very clear.
This is integrity. Very strong.
Integrity to my Guru and integrity to my disciples.
Very good. So Swamiji, I wanted to also discuss a lot of confusion because of language translations that people make. People translate, that heaven is same as Swarga and Punya Pap is same as sin.
No.
Can you explain differences between Swarga and heaven? Because and there is no devil in our system. There is no anti-Brahman. There is no anti-Shiva like there is anti-Christ. And the whole idea of Christianity is that you should be helping Jesus fight devil or something. We do not have that opponent. There is no duality
See,
there.
first thing, the whole translation done by Western scholars is with the purpose of either the profound Vedic and Hindu thought currents are lower than their thought currents or equivalent. They are not interested in the deeper and larger and broader dimensions expressed in Vedic agamic literatures and thought currents. For example, Sadashiva cannot be translated as God.
Correct. Yes.
God is only generator, operator, destroyer. But Sadashiva does 5. Generation, operation, managing, delusion and liberation.
Yes.
When we do not know delusion and liberation, we do not know the life. Unfortunately, they were able to see only 3 operations in the life. Generation, operation, destruction. They never were able to conceive anything more than these 3. So they created their God, generator, operator, destroyer. I should say, God is the projection of man's mind. Sadashiva projects us from his mind.
Very good.
Sadashiva is much broader, deeper, higher understanding than God. Even for practical purpose, Sadashiva should not be translated as God. Because this major 2 dimension of delusion management and liberation is removed, we do not understand the God concept complete.
And our process depends on that.
Our process depends on our understanding.
Yes.
And in every level, whether it is a God or even the Swarga. Swarga means whatever you wanted, that Swa becomes reality, Arga. What you wanted becomes reality and you celebrate. It is not common for all. We need to know each Jiva's Swarga is different.
It's a private reality.
It's private reality. It's like your home. All homes in that frequency is in one plane. Like a Trishanku can visit Varuna. Varuna can visit Agni. Agni can visit Vayu. But they are all having independent Swargas.
This is a very profound concept.
Swarga.
Yes, yes.
A basic understanding is different
Yes.
from the heaven.
Yes.
Heaven is a multiple apartment complex.
Yeah, in fact, they were.
See,
giving
heaven,
Yeah,
all common utility is common.
yeah. In fact, I went to one of the Mormon headquarters, and they were giving me, trying to convert me, and I made it look like I'm really interested in understanding what's going on. So they gave me a tour of what is this heaven, almost like a retirement community. So I was asking questions like, do we play golf? And they said, yeah, you'll have golf. And how many apartments, how big apartment? They were making it really like this, some kind of a place where you go and retire. And so they have this idea, very silly kind of a, very basic kind of an idea. And Swarga is such a more complex and more sophisticated.
Swarga is completely different concept.
Yes, yes.
And in every level, we should be very clear. Our practitioners translate.
Yes.
We should not swallow the translations, word equivalents forced on us by the limited understanding non-practitioners of Hinduism. See, they may have two reasons. One, ignorance. Second, cunning, purposeful waging war through this intellectual distortion. Whatever may be their purpose, we should not allow, especially Hindu gurus, should not go behind Max Mullerians.
Max Muller did a lot of this.
And these Western non-practitioner translations being accepted by Hindu organizations is the biggest damage done to Hinduism. These, the whole Neo-Vedanta Sampradaya, Neo-Vedantins are the product of the non-practitioners' translation of Hindu texts.
Which have been accepted by our own people. That is where
Which is
where I think the war, I've been trying to do my best in 25 years now. I will be able to take it to a new level from the Agama, whereas previously I did it from other levels. But I think understanding the Agama, I'll now be able to take that same war to a deeper level, a different level. Because this is our foundation. This you cannot translate, mistranslate. I mean, each of those, Sadashiva can't be translated, Kali is Kali, Durga is Durga. Each one of them is so distinct.
Yes.
You cannot substitute. This business of making it same, substituted means we get digested. And then the digested version sent back to us. That is the problem.
Every concept, the profound concept need to be translated.
Yes.
Not that some equivalent rough word you will find it and impose it on it.
Yes. So Swamiji,
Same way, the Shakti and Siddhi, wrong words like occult,
yeah.
the supranormal,
Yes, that is
the
totally wrong.
paranormal.
Paranormal, yeah.
So those things are being imposed
Yes.
to translate the Shakti and Siddhis, which is completely wrong.
And Shakti is not just energy, like electricity or some
And
material.
actually, people tell me, oh, is Shakti is the same as this supernormal.
Right.
I tell them very clearly, please understand, in Hindu tradition, Shakti is normally superb, not supernormal.
Very good.
There's a big difference.
Very
Big
good.
difference. When you say supernormal, the understandings you impact, you create, the impression you create is different. Normally superb, the understanding you create is different. It's not word game or word play. Even the understanding,
Yes.
it is not occult. It is not what do you call as this paranormal?
It is not superstition.
It is not only not superstition, it is not occult, it is not even this paranormal.
Yes. So Swamiji, here, India has enacted anti-superstition laws. This flows right into my next question. These laws and some laws or other, I think the present government signed it. So a lot of things we are learning, they can prosecute as a superstition, because they've taken this model, an idea of Western idea of superstition, which is a Christian idea of what is superstition. So according to them, virgin birth is not superstition, and Moses parting the ocean is not superstition, and Muhammad transcending to heaven from a certain place is not superstition, and the 72 virgins is not. But a lot of Hindu agama processes, they are saying will be considered superstition. So this is a very dangerous and Hindu-phobic.
It is very unfortunate that we have not educated our own Hindus about the importance of agama and practices of agama, and even our own practices are prosecuted in our own land. Is really shocking, and we need to bring the original Shastra back to life.
Yes.
And make the mainstream understand these things which are from Agama cannot be classified as occult or mystic
or superstitious.
a mystery and a superstitious, all that they are clear signs.
That is the, yes. And Swami,
It is time we fight for Agama to protect our religious freedom.
So Swamiji, another example of a very anti-Hindu action was taken by Vajpayee's government, previous government, Hindu government, when they approved the Tehri Dam. You see, they were wanting to build a dam and convert the Ganga into a lake, which they have done, and then make electricity and sell the water in pipelines to Delhi and so on. And there were these people who were huggers of trees. They would not let the trees be cut, and they became famous all over the world, more for saving trees rather than for the sacred purpose of saving Ganga. So this went on for a decade, and the previous government, Congress government, wanted to build the Tehri Dam, and these activists would not let it happen. Vajpayee signed the thing finally, authorizing the Tehri Dam to be built. So this dam, and I've been there while it was being constructed. I went to the, you go from Rishikesh, and you have to spend a whole day going around the mountains to the other side, and from the top you can get a big view of the Ganga, 100 miles, 150 miles across and 75 miles this way. It's a spectacular sight. So they dammed that, made it into a lake, and so after that, which is a lot of miles uphill from Rishikesh, from there certain subset, some small portion of the water is sent to Har Ki Pauri, where pilgrims can bathe, and it looks like normal Ganga. But it is actually not very honest, because a large majority of the Ganga has been diverted from the dam. So I would say the crime they've committed is that Ma Ganga has been turned into a lake, mostly a lake, with a small symbolic thing, so Hindus will not know. But actually, if you look at an aerial picture, Ganga does not exist. Only during the rain, when there is too much water going, they open up the whole thing. This is kind of a sad thing, because we are removing the sacredness from the ground, from the soil, from the geography.
Especially Ganga is lifeline for us.
Yes.
It is not just the lifeline of the where Ganga is flowing. I tell you,
Yes.
the remote village in South India, in Tamil Nadu, every village will have a Devi temple with Gangamma,
Yes.
with the name Ganga.
Yes.
I tell you, it's not that Ganga belongs to only the area where she is flowing. She is our cultural symbol. In remote corner of Tamil Nadu, where Ganga is not flowing, you will see at least thousands of people having the name Ganga, and every village will have the temple with the name Gangayamma. From my own family, we worship Gangayamma, the Devi of Ganga. So I think surely it's a very big wrong done to
Hindus need to know these things.
Hindus need to know.
Yeah.
To our consciousness, this is not right.
Yeah. And Swamiji, another thing is Ram Leela. When I was a kid, it was a theater practice for 1 month in the whole town. and everybody would become somebody. And then the idea of embodying that character and participating, you know, it's like in a sense embodying Sadashiva to play a role. Everyone felt that way. And so this was the Hindu grand narrative for a very long time, was this thing, living. Now it is sort of, you watch a snippet on TV here and there once in a while. It is not the same thing as living it.
See, I tell you, many times I have found, when I tell my kids to play certain Puranic drama, when they dress up and they think of that character and study, it leaves such a strong impact on them. They start living that character. They start enjoying that character. Surely, I will propose more Ramalila players in every village and less viewers than one place played and whole group becomes viewers.
Just passive viewers. It is a participation. It is like if one guy is doing yoga and everybody sitting there clapping and watching the yoga, then they're not yogis. they're not doing yoga. Yoga is not about watching. So we have turned into we've turned into from being the suppliers and the performers of knowledge to being the recipients of somebody else's knowledge, just sitting passively in a class and watching them. This is a very serious colonization that we've been through. So Swamiji, in the
I've seen in my village also, every year they will perform Ramayana and Mahabharata. The whole village, that 2 months, will not have any other work other than this Ramayana and Mahabharata performance.
This is important. This is important.
At least 200 people will be involved as some character.
Yes.
And all their 200 families will be the viewers.
Yeah. So it's like everybody's involved.
And it's such a fun.
Yeah.
And many of the characters, even after the drama, they will be known in their local village with that nickname.
That you are Lakshman.
No, in the nickname, they will be called as Bhimraj. They will be, the guy will be really
the character.
And the Bhim character, his nickname will become Bhimraj.
Yeah. So Swamiji, now I want to since we're running out of, this had been a phenomenal discussion. I wanted you to respond when people say, why does Swamiji have to wear so much jewelry? So what is the spiritual purpose and function of gold and silver in our tradition? Because clearly the first thing everybody should know is that we, among all the traditions in the world, have been decorating our deities with these metals. And the gold, it was not that gold was precious and we gave it to the deities, but because we gave it to the deities, it became precious. It's a very important distinction. Hindus wanted to give gold to the deities for a scientific reason, which I'd like you to explain, for some agama reason. And because India was an export producer of material goods, metallurgy, medicine, textiles, agriculture, exporter, very rich economy, and other places had nothing useful we wanted. So we wanted them to be paid in gold. And they would bring up all the gold. In fact, India has got so many times amount of gold than was ever mined within India. Most of the gold in India was brought by others because they wanted our goods. And the reason we wanted the payment in gold is because we wanted to decorate our deities. So this means that the spirituality value of gold turned it into a world currency. The world gold currency is because of Hinduism. This is actually true. So what in Hinduism wants gold?
In Agama, Sadashiva is very clear. Each metal has certain quality to hold the higher frequency. So each metal holds the higher frequency for certain time and the quality level. Gold is the highest, can hold longest period in highest frequency. That is why gold and even the diamond and silk, all these are used in creating a spiritual battery. I should call roughly a temple is a spiritual battery, a mandala. So, not only the deities, even the temples were constructed in gold. We have enough reference. Tanjore temple was completely covered with a thick gold sheet. Even now that nail holes are there.
Even in Angkor Wat, large parts of it was gold.
Gold sheeted. So, our purpose of using gold was spiritual. That is one. Second, why I am using? Sadashiva gives a very clear instruction. the 32 various jewelries I am supposed to wear during initiation. See, I follow agamic tradition.
Yes.
Allow me to follow my tradition.
That is good. Yes.
I am neither interested in gold nor I hate gold.
Yeah.
It is simple instruction Sadashiva said I am using. I am not life escapist, life negative Vedanti who can't touch gold.
Very good.
Same way, I am not materialist who is interested in gold. Sadashiva is very clear, the Rudraksha need to be energized and covered with gold. And I want to tell you, I don't wear any gold jewelry. I wear Rudraksha jewelry covered with gold.
Very nice.
There is no jewelry on me which does not have Rudraksha.
Yeah. Very nice.
So it is very clear, we use for spiritual purpose. And gold as showing off only for the poor fellows who don't know spirituality. Here I am showing off Sadashiva's instruction, not the gold. It is very clear from my side, only what is required as per the Agama I am using. Anybody can disprove that I am not using as per Agama. I am ready to give it up.
So basically gold is primarily a spiritual metal.
Metal.
That
Where the energy can be stored
Yes.
and shared
Yes.
and like a transformer.
Yes. So Swamiji, it's like in semiconductors, certain metals are used for
Yes.
scientific purpose, they have
Yes.
properties, and these metals have become rare.
Rare.
So their value has gone up.
Yes.
It is not that they were collector's items
Yes.
for fun. They have a scientific reason.
Scientific
so in that sense, gold has a spiritual purpose.
It can, actually gold can be programmed.
Yes.
It can hold our thought current, energy current and radiate it for quite a long time.
Yes.
And I also want to tell you, the people who criticize, I am wearing jewelry, are they interested in purifying Hinduism?
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
They are trying to attack me
They're just looking for
as I am a
reasons.
symbol of Hinduism.
Yeah, they are looking for an opportunity.
They are only trying to use me to beat Hinduism.
Yeah.
They are not interested in purifying Hinduism.
Yes. So I just want
If
to...
somebody
Yeah.
is interested in purifying Hinduism, and if they send any criticism, I'll surely take that as a constructive criticism.
Yes, and yes, that is
See,
correct.
if we are ready to accept the authority of the Shastra Pramana, from the Shastra Pramana, I welcome any criticism.
Yes.
I will take that as a constructive criticism. And I am ready to look into Shastra, reference and debate, do Vakyartha Sadas. I have all my sympathy, love and respect and welcome. But if you are not interested in Shastra Pramana, forget about me. I am no way interested even in engaging with you.
Very good.
I am very clear with that.
Very good.
I am very clear.
Yeah. So this is towards the end. So what I want to say to all those who are viewing, to all the viewers, because many times when in the past they criticize me for interviewing you or why I'm fond of this or that, I just want you to be very clear, all my viewers. Those who are not interested in understanding Hinduism with an open mind,
Shastra
with
Pramana.
Shastra Pramana, who are not interested in honest investigation in order to learn, understand that these practices are consistent with the Shastras and also willing to come and take a look at evidence that these things work. Those people, even if they call themselves Hindus and activists, I reject them and I really don't want them as my followers. And last time, I want to say this. I mean, for me it is a very clear choice. Last time, when I interviewed Swamiji, quite a lot of people started abusing me and so on. So I told my moderators, go delete and ban all of them. And a lot of them said, oh, you know, it's very bad for you. We are your friends. We are your followers. Please listen to me. What you are doing is very dangerous. Your followers will leave you. We probably banned and got rid of maybe 1,000 people from my Facebook. But within a few months, my number of followers doubled. Yeah. So I just want all the people who are watching who may have these kind of thoughts and ideas that, you know, it will be a great favor to me. You just go somewhere else. You don't follow me because I have to follow what I consider is to be my process, my path, and let it lead me to various places. And if you don't want to, then you guys can leave. I have no problem with that. And the final comment is the second thing a lot of people say is, why aren't you interviewing that guru and that guru and that guru? Well, let me tell you, It is not out of negative things towards any guru. We have no problem with any other guru. It is because many of those people you are naming are not interested in being interviewed so openly and honestly, and in a very with no holds barred, open approach. And rather than telling me to go interview this or that guru, you should have them invite me, and I'll be happy to go ask them all these questions. I want to ask questions about the relationship of Hinduism with Agama and Hinduism, with Hinduism as science, yoga and science, what is digestible, what is not digestible. And I find that when I start getting into such details, many of them just don't want to. And this is why I enjoy my dialogues and conversations and Q&As with Swamiji, because he has never said, don't ask this and don't go into that. It's very open between us, and I'm so delighted and honored that you give me this chance.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you. My final comments are, see, if anybody is interested in Shastra Pramana, I accept Vedas and Agamas as Shastra. In Shastra Pramana, I welcome you for dialogue, debate, understanding, question answer, any relationship I welcome. And I am interested to be complete with you. Anybody who is ready, accepting the authority of the Shastra Pramana and scientific temperament, I welcome. I am here. Come, explore, engage, entertain, and get enlightened and enjoy.
So Swamiji, I just want to say that the whole movement of revival of the Agamas and Hinduism from it has reached the tipping point in our favor, because you have been so strong. And I think that the other side are on the run. They are not able to face, they have no logic or intelligence to face. And tomorrow we're having a discussion which takes this to the next step on the whole Kurukshetra and whatnot. I think today is a good, solid spiritual, philosophical foundation for tomorrow's discussion on the whole global Kurukshetra,
yes,
and what we must do to defend our gurus, because defending our gurus is the most important part of defending Hindu Dharma.
Thank you, Rajivji.
Thank you.
So the last statement which I want to make, which is always the first statement, Sanatana Hindu Dharma is real.
Yes. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.
Thank you. Be blissful.
Thank you so much, Rajiv ji and our beloved Swamiji. This last 3 hours has been extremely, it was an intellectual treat, spiritual treat for all our viewers, for all the devotees of Swamiji, and for all those who are waiting for Sanatana Hindu Dharma to experience Sanatana Hindu Dharma and who are waiting for its revival. Now we know Sadashiva is back and Sanatana Hindu Dharma is already revived. Thank you so much, Rajiv ji. And one thing I really want to share is Rajiv ji always brings the best out of Swamiji. And this has been one of the most interesting and at least for me and for all the people here, I can clearly say that we never even realized that it was 3 hours since the interview started. It's been on, and it's been extremely interesting and entertaining and informative. Thank you so much, Swamiji and Rajiv ji, and we really hope to have many such interviews in the future. Thank you very much.